Turn that on. All right, and we're live. Roy, how's it going?
Doing well. How are you, Tavis?
Doing well. Another week in the bag. Another Fiesta Friday.
Yep, absolutely. By the way, that clip cutter link is not working for me. It's just loading. So I'll just do it manually today.
Hold on.
Yeah, like we're going to talk of course, we have to talk macro today. There will be some names that we talk as well. But since this is the Friday episode, we're going to focus more on Q&A period. And it can be related. Usually it's related to stocks, investments, but it can be off topic as well. So we're just here to have fun and hang out for a little bit and talk some market. So how was your week, Tevis?
Week was good, man. It went by very quickly. And yeah, we had like the biggest rally in many decades. So that was also good to experience. I feel like I have not been making enough content at all because I'm just busy with work, but I'm definitely not sad about this performance. That's for sure.
Yeah, a lot of my content has been about okay, so for you guys that are not content creators, there are topics that if you end up ever doing it, that you're like, oh man, this is really important. I want to get this news out. But you know that video or that post or whatever is just going to do poorly. Do it anyway. That's what I've been doing this week. So we had like some breaking news that really hit, and I thought that it was really impactful, especially for Robinhood and Webull. Of course, Air Test Systems had the largest contract announcement ever. And I hadn't planned on making more air content, but we didn't put it in the title because, like, if we ever do, people are gone. We're not going to talk about that the full time, but maybe a mention or two. Lots of nebulous and data center stuff too, but the biggest thing is macro. Is that where you want to start, Tevis, or with anything else?
Let's start with macro.
All right. So why? Okay, we put the same title here. I use it because it's accurate. But why is this the biggest rally in decades? Because you look and it's like, it's up a bit, sure. But what's I wouldn't quite say historic, but what's particularly interesting about this rally, and why are we doing? Of course, before you answer that question, the reason why obviously is ceasefire looks like it's holding. Looks like that they're making meaningful progress towards peace. And there's a lot of hope that not only does that work out, but also what's happening with Lebanon and Israel as well.
Yeah, I think historic is definitely accurately putting it. The NASDAQ is on its longest winning streak in like 17 years or something like that. And if you look at the actual index, the rise since the beginning of April, because like the bottom was March 30th. That was the bottom. And then the rise since the beginning of April has been something like since the 50s, the most aggressive. So I think like I have theories as to why this is the case, but I don't think anybody can doubt the numbers. The numbers are telling a clear story that the market is seeing huge inflows of capital. And largely, I don't know if you have it handy, but one thing we shared in our private chat, Roy, was this around the call put direction. And we're seeing that not only is the market having inflows, but they're also loading up on call options at the fastest pace ever recorded. I don't know that that's accurate, but definitely in recent history. So
it's been a quick switch. A lot of people were predicting lower. I thought we might be, it might take a few attempts at this to actually have a lasting peace agreement. Looks like that might have been wrong. That was just last week. So yeah, and throw this up real quick too, Tevis. This is from yesterday. Bar chart had posted this. NASDAQ trades green 12 straight days, longest winning streak in nearly 17 years. And of course, what did it do today? Well, it traded green as well. So at some point, like if this continues another couple of sessions, it becomes historic. It's still a massive move. And I know some of these moves are not necessarily substantial, but there's along with this, a lot of three white soldiers type of formations, which is a really strong technical indicator. Basically 3 trading sessions, usually on the weekly, but not always. green in a row, and there's a strong indication of further gains to come over the next session of whatever amount that is. So, by the way, I'm not really sure, Tevis. If you look, I don't know if you can see on the left-hand side, but you can see it looks inverted this way. That's my feed. I don't know what I did. I don't know if StreamYard changed something. So sorry to people that are seeing just part of the screen. I can't figure out how to get it back. So
that might only be your StreamYard, because I'm looking on the YouTube stream and it's showing fine. So yeah, check if there's a button right below where it says your name, and it should be able to turn off the vertical format.
yeah, there's it.
Roy, what color Lambo are you buying with your air profits?
Yeah, it's been really good. We're definitely going to have to talk some air. I know this guy right here has profited immensely off of air, and congratulations to any other shareholders too. Yeah, I don't know. It's not in Studio. It's not in StreamYard. So if you can't stand it, just hop over to Tevis's channel. You can get the more traditional view. But yeah, before we talk, a little bit of air and why that rallied too, and well, I guess I'll just answer. Like, I've taken profits intentionally with air by selling covered calls. That's one of the ways you can do that. If you're one of your biggest struggles is actually taking profits on something that has run up heavily, that's a good strategy to do it. As long as you have the discipline to, even if it blows past that covered call strike that you're like, hey, I'm fine if I sell it there. If you're buying it back, you're shooting yourself in the foot. So I sold some 50s previously. 55s, 65s, and 75s, which I didn't think would go, but they did. Here we are. So I kind of hate the timing of this rally, to be honest, Tevis, because a week ago I'm like, hey, if these go away, there's so many ridiculous buying opportunities. There still are very good buying opportunities. Like this, I don't think that this rally is just like going to fade like it will if the peace talks fall apart, right? But otherwise, if those end up proving true, that it bears fruit to something that's more permanent, I don't see why the stock market can't continue to do quite well, because the biggest fear was energy prices, the shock basically driving up a lot of prices across the board in commodities, reigniting inflation, and potentially, if it lasts long enough, inducing stagflation to a lot of economies. So anyway, I'll be sitting, I think that a third of the profit from air, I'm just going to put back into the market like Monday. Just names that I want to add to. I've been adding this week as well to several names in the midst of this rally. I prefer it lower, but you can't always time things when money comes in. And then a third of it, I'll probably write cash secured puts on. And a third of it, I'm just going to keep cash for right now. Because the other thing, too, is we're entering earnings season. Well, we're not quite in the middle of it, but we're entering some big weeks the next 2 weeks. And the market will always, every single earnings season, without a doubt, sell off some things for just stupid reasons, give a really ridiculous entry in a quality name. Oftentimes that's a name that you've been watching for a long time that you're like, oh, I'll never get an opportunity. And then like for Cloudflare, let's say I don't think this will happen, but some silly little thing ticks off the algorithms and it sells off 30%. Well, I got cash all of a sudden, so I'm going to buy that dip immediately. I'm not expecting that name, but every single earnings season, there's that sort of thing. So I don't mind having a little extra cash too, just sitting on the sidelines. And then in case things don't actually prove out, if it does, great. I'll just DCA into some of those names. Higher prices, but it is what it is.
Yeah, it's so fun fact, Roy, Meta is up $100 from where we bought it on stream. And it feels like, what was that? Last Friday? No, 2 Fridays ago. Was it 2 Fridays ago? Or it was a Tuesday. Like a week and a half ago, basically. This rally has not given me any chance to breathe at all. And right now I've been writing covered calls on a lot of things. And it's a matter of how long does this last? I quite think we might have a pullback one of these days. I don't know. I closed my covered calls on VG today. Granted, I closed them for like a couple of pennies. just so that if there is some things that are happening over the weekend, that we can that I could still, profit off that rally up from VG. It's funny because, yeah, that's the direction we're heading, which is, towards peace. But at the same time, there's so much broken telephone. Like Trump comes out and says something, and then Iran, the next like 30 minutes is like, oh, that's fake. And then Trump is like, Israel is prohibited from doing anything. And then 30 minutes later, Israel goes and does something. It's just like, dude, I don't even know who to trust anymore. It's very precarious. Like it still feels precarious to me. I know the market is going YOLO all in kind of thing, but I guess maybe I'm a little bit more cautious because I am in margin right now, right? And
Ooh, yeah.
still, like, regardless of being in margin, like it's largely played out because the market has rallied. That last 100 shares of Meta that I bought, that was in margin. But I don't really want to sell those 100 shares of Meta. Like I want to keep that into earnings when they happen. And so it's weird, man, because I feel like, the goal last year in 2025 was, okay, I need to consolidate into some high conviction mega caps, right? And I put 10% of my portfolio in Amazon, and now I have about 15% of my portfolio in Meta. And so I don't necessarily like, we had a drawdown and the mega caps didn't fall as much, but I didn't rotate out of them. I just bought, Nebius and whatever on margin, largely cleared off that margin. And now I just feel as though I want to have those positions become more of cornerstones in my portfolio for 2026 and beyond if they don't get called away. My Amazon is underwater right now from a covered call perspective, but my leaps are loving it. So I'm not really fussed about it. But the wider point that I'm trying to get through is like, it feels like we're out of the woods, but I've had this feeling before, and it's turned out, there's like
a
another
bull trap.
Exactly.
Yeah, we're going to stay on that topic for just a little bit because I think we could be wrong. And as always, this is not financial advice. You guys need to make sure you do your own due diligence. And actually, on that, the importance. We just need to reiterate this a number of times. It's not enough to even be in the right stocks. You need to have the right conviction. And the only way you can do that is if you do your own due diligence, whatever that means. If it's like, hey, I want to listen to every single earnings call the last 50 years, okay. But you need to develop your own conviction. The reason why somebody messaged me actually this week and they said, man, congratulations on AIR. I got in at like $20, but I got out at 24 because it was up at 27. It started falling. I didn't know what was going on. It's like, he was in the right stock. He followed me into the trade, which don't just follow somebody in a trade, do your own due diligence, but he didn't develop his own conviction. And as a result, when that stock price is falling, he's like, man, I'm going to lose all my money. And he messed out on some potentially life-changing gains. I don't know the sizing of his portfolio. So always, always, always develop your own conviction. By the way, too, before we talk about why this rally, I think, really does have legs, as long as the peace talks do go well. That is the big if. Trump is a wild card, It's two streams that I have. So if you guys are watching it in this vertical portrait mode, you don't like it, just hop out, see my channel. You'll see the other one there. I see the setting for next time. It's a new StreamYard thing, so my apologies. But yeah, that's what's going on. I was like, man, why are there so few people that are viewers? It's because I essentially have two streams going on at the same time on YouTube.
Oh,
not ideal.
I see what you did. You did orientation, landscape plus portrait.
Yeah.
I see it in the settings. Okay, cool.
Yep. Anyway, okay, so there's a few reasons why, actually quite a few reasons why I think that this rally has legs. So obviously, the biggest fear is heavily reduced at this point. Go ahead and throw this up too, Tevis. This is a little bit dated. This came out on the 16th. So it's not that much dated. It's only a day ago, but things have done quite well. This is a NASDAQ 100, the forward PE ratio, and you can see where it's been based on. This isn't going like super far back. This is a 5-year look back, and the guy entitled it "Worst Bubble Ever." I mean, price to earnings ratios are not crazy. If you look at essentially what's happened from this massive pullback, and I know that we're at all-time highs with the S&P 500, NASDAQ as well. I didn't look at the Russell, but I think the Russell was fairly close. Dow Jones, it's doing well too. Um, a lot of tech names have pulled back. A lot of AI names, and I know Nebius is an exception, are not at all-time highs. There's a lot in software that have pulled back. And so what's happened in effect is the base of the rally has broadened out. And usually that marks sustainability plus the fact that we had this consolidation and cool off period. Like it's just it's really healthy for the market what we've been through. Not fun if your portfolio is heavily in fintech and tech like mine. Thankfully, Air kind of saved me. By the way, thank you again for that donation. Stock market will be high on Monday. I mean, regardless of the date, and I know the meme, I really, we'll have a pullback at some point. There will be some consolidation, but this, I really do think has legs for quite some time. Now, the question is, Tevis, I think you're in agreement with me that it feels like we're probably out of the woods as long as the peace talks do go well. There's always something, but there is, a lot of seasonality in a given year. So there's the old saying, sell in May, go away. I think 1 year out of the last 4 that's been helpful to do, and the rest it's been you would have missed out on a lot of gains. Do you think that whole saying is pretty much dead, or is that what you're kind of looking at doing this year?
I think a lot of people are itching for a rally because all throughout this year has been super chop, and that might signal why this run up was so aggressive on news that's not even final, for that matter. And so I don't think that. I mean, we'll see, right? Because we could have some more macro geopolitical events that come over on May and negatively impact the market. But I think the appetite is definitely there for us to go on a bull run. I'm not sure what the second half of the year is going to have, but I would expect that to affect the market in the summer, not necessarily in May. So I think that we should be okay for May. I mean, I might eat those words, but as a result of us having such a down couple of months in February and in March, I think that April and May are going to be up because the market we'll reach some type of equilibrium with more certainty in the market, and then uncertainty rears its head again by the end of the summer with midterms.
Yeah, I think unless we go up so much that it's already priced in, usually that last quarter of the year does very well in midterm elections, and there's some chop beforehand. It's played out similarly, although 2022 was the last one of these, and it was a bear market, so a little bit different. Yeah, I think the sell and may go away is largely dead. There's a lot more retail participation these days. The reason why that saying kind of existed before is summer vacation for hedge funds. That there would be lower liquidity, lower volume, a lot of times chop that's downward in the market. And then by the time you're getting back in August or early September, that's when the market does particularly well. So it could play out that way. And maybe it'll be weekly there, but I'm not really expecting a lot of pain. Now, a couple of other things to show and things to keep an eye on. This is the oil prices here. So, of course, WTI specifically for United States rather than Brent crude. You can see Brent, though, is also under 100. It's 91. Crude oil, 85 right here. And it's still elevated. But as long as the ceasefire situation actually is resolved, I think that we're fine. Natural gas, of course, this is U.S. natural gas rather than TTF. But TTF, this is in Europe, and you can see how far it's fallen from the peak. If you zoom out a ways, this is, of course, what happened with the Russia-Ukraine war. So year to date or over the last year, this is still elevated. And it's actually, it should be elevated over the baseline back here, just given what's happened with Qatar. And I know I always say that name wrong. But with some storms, and we're actually structurally short. But regardless, as these prices continue to go down for energy, that helps inflation not just be transitory. And I know that word stinks. I know we heard it way too often in 2021, 2022. But the reality is, this quick of a turnaround probably doesn't have much durable impact on inflation. And we can see Fed meetings, rate probabilities, see me Fed Watch, Current rate is 350 to 375. We've seen a pretty big shift here, Tevis. So it wasn't that long ago. So 350 to 375. If you look back a month ago, it was 30% chance of just staying pat. One cut or two cuts look pretty good. Of course, a week ago, it was 75% chance of staying pat. Now it's kind of back, shifting to where it was a month ago. Not quite there yet. There's even somebody that still says a rate hike, which I don't know. But most people are saying, yeah, it's going to have at least one cut, maybe two as well, which is kind of what we were expecting earlier in the year. Very good for lending names like SoFi, but good for, frankly, most companies here on the U.S. market. So between that, it's clear that institutions are actually buying heavily. I get closed a little bit earlier, but we went from extreme fear to now 68 on the fear and greed index. Let me throw this back up. I apologize for knocking it down there, Tevis. Yeah, this is crazy. Like looking over here, let me zoom in a little bit. So a month ago we were in extreme fear. A week ago, fear. Now in greed. If you look at the timeline, you're right. Right at the end of March, we were pretty much at the low point there. Extreme fear. We did see a little bit more, of course, back in November. But there's a lot of things that are building into this, and it's not. Of course, a moving average is very bullish. Like when you hit an all-time high in a market, it's not like, oh man, this is really bearish. I saw some people like saying Nvidia at 201. They're like, oh man, this is really bearish because it's pumped so hard. It's like, did you see how long that consolidation was? The longer the base, the longer the rally usually. And when it's holding above its moving average, whether it's an index or Nvidia, really, really bullish. Macro seems very good as well. So I'm really just not seeing, unless we start seeing inflation that is really sticky or the peace talks fall apart, we'll have continued worries and concerns. That's what happens in a bull market. You just climb those. But yeah, this has been a great week. So I'm kind of curious with people in the comments, if you went from red to green in your portfolio over the last, let's say since April 1st, well, let's not even do that. Just this week. If you did that, just say, yeah, went red to green, or I'm positive finally, something like that. For me, it surprised a lot of people, but that was me this week. I was barely down entering the week. Air had held me up quite a bit. Robinhood, SoFi had been brutal. Of course, they rallied quite a bit this week. So we're now at the point where, even if there's a pullback, I'm probably still green. But, oh man, look at ClipGrid. Went from negative 12% to positive 24%. That's crazy.
Yeah. I had a very similar type of move. My portfolio is up 29%, something like that, year to date. And I'm, with this current move in Nebius, I'm about 3 to 4% away from all-time highs. Given SoFi is still under $20, that's kind of crazy. Because the last time I was at all-time highs was October, and SoFi was like at 30 some odd dollars. And yeah, and that's even with the BMNR bag that I'm holding right now. So if BMNR decides to go back to 40, and if SoFi decides to go back to 30, and Nebius stays where it is, then I'll be a very, very happy guy. But this has been the single biggest month for me, Roy. From a dollar basis, like period, absolute terms, but from a percentage basis, in terms of the biggest month since November 2024. And yeah, currently up about 20.5% month for the month of April.
Yeah, it's amazing. Congratulations, dude. Yeah, Nebius has been a big part of it for you, of course. SoFi recovering as well. And you weren't in Robinhood or heavily. Of course, Robinhood also peaked in October. My portfolio was at the all-time high in October. It's actually not too far away now. Another week like this, and it might be back to an all-time high or very close. But yeah, it was just down and brutally so at some points since October in that high. Robinhood, of course, got cut in half, and man, it had one crazy week. I saw it just blowing up covered calls. Did you see the news on why? or at least my hypothesis why.
Yeah, it was the 25K rule. That's what you're talking about?
Yeah, yeah.
Both SoFi and Rob, like they both ran on that for a couple days.
Yeah, I saw Webull as well run very heavily, and I think Webull and Robinhood, out of publicly traded stocks, have the customer base that benefits the most from that. So, yeah, Natalia, you have a great point. Insiders are dumping, and yet the stock had crazy news, biggest order ever. It was actually larger than I had expected at that point, which is why I think that it wasn't fully digested in the stock price. Gain indicated in that that they are looking at some following orders that'll be by the end of this quarter, so the end of May, that are either brand new customers or on the very largest side. They have a ton of irons in the fire, and so like that's a scary thing right now. I only have a little bit, well, because my covered calls intentionally are sold off. I did sell a single strike. Was it a single? No, I've sold several actually. It was 25% of my remaining shares because I forgot I did it in the other account too, which I didn't now, at $95 for next month. And I'm like, I think I made a mistake on this because I'd rather not get rid of those. But it is what it is. If insiders are selling, like sometimes retail, we're like, hey, well, I'll never sell this company and I'll never take the, no, like the market's there to do that. Now, if you're long-term and you don't want to take profits, don't take profits, let it run. But yeah, insiders sold a lot. But this is also a good reminder to us that just because insiders are dumping, it doesn't mean that it's bearish for the stock. Like it can be, but they were selling at lower levels before this news, which Gain had talked about in the earnings call. So, yeah.
Yeah, man. It's like what do you expect, right? You had a 3x in air, 4x in air, and it's like let it breathe,
4 plus.
Yeah, it's like let
my portfolio would be so beaten up without air. So
they did everything you expect them to do, right? Like insiders selling, they issued more shares, to raise some money. Like it's, yeah, I would say you shouldn't be sad about that. Not you, but like whoever's watching shouldn't be sad about like, oh well, insiders are selling and this and that. And like for me, I still have covered calls on air that are at $65 for May, and I was DMing Roy.
Bye.
Yeah, I was DMing Roy this week, and I was just like, you know what? I could probably roll these out to June for 75 and get a net credit, or I can roll them out to September for 95 and get a net credit. That's how crazy the IV is on air. I don't know if I'm going to do that or not. I might just say, thanks so much. I got $5 for those 65, so $70 break even. That's fine. I missed out on like $15 worth of gains. I still have shares left that I wasn't writing covered calls on. A super small portion. I'm probably going to end up selling those. And that's it. I also messaged you earlier today, Roy, around, and I know we're going to jump on Robinhood in just a second, but on Robinhood, whether I should be writing $120 calls for May 15th as well. And yeah, I don't know. And those might get going away too, but I don't know, man. It's a crazy time to be alive. It's so like where we were 2 weeks ago and where we are now, from just the overall sentiment and what's going on. It's the craziest game alive. It's the most fun game to be playing.
Yeah, it absolutely is. So, but yeah, and taking gains, it's nothing wrong with it. Covered calls, they're a tool. There's always downsides with any device, but yeah, I still love covered calls, even though I've missed out on some gains. But like the problem is, a lot of times people make the mistake of, if they sell covered calls and it's like, hey, I'm happy selling the stock at that price, then you probably would have sold the stock at that price and miss out on those gains anyway. So you even maybe made out a little bit better.
Yeah.
Howdy, Bob.
All right, let's jump into Hood. Is that one of the ones you wanted to cover? Or?
I mean, like I think we already kind of touched it on it. It was just the FINRA news basically that they're changing or they approved the changes to day trading rules, pattern day trading, and so in essence, previously you needed $25,000 in not just the brokerage but in that specific account. Robinhood, of course, has created new accounts, and so I actually ran into this for the first time in a long time. I forgot that that was even a thing. And I did a what would be flagged as a pattern day trade. You're allowed a certain number of these per 6 days or 5 days. I'd have to double check. But regardless, that rule's going away. But unless you have over $25,000 in the account, now it's basically ensuring that you have the right amount of either margin or cash in your portfolio to be able to execute that trade. So it's a lot more of a simple rule. It's not discouraging to traders. There's a lot of new people that are on Robinhood and also on Webull, and this is why I think that these two benefit the most from it, that are just brand new to the market. And when you're new to the market, you know nothing about pattern day. You might not even be trying to day trade. You're just moving a few things around your portfolio, not thinking anything of it because you have buying power. And all of a sudden you start getting flagged for this. And that can cause a lot of people to say, okay, I'm going to actually stay in this position that I really need to get out of. And you get hurt by it. Or that you just say, you know what? I don't understand this. It's too complicated. I'm out. Or you stop investing. You stop trading. So yeah, it's really bullish for new investors. Like, is there a risk to it that more people will day trade? I actually, there's a lot of people that think so. I don't think so. The reason why is most retail investors try day trading at least once. Did you ever try day trading?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I like even myself. Like, if you said no, I'd be like, well, then I'll take it back because you're Mr. Degen. So
that's how I
clearly.
started. Like,
But I even tried it, and I'm pretty conservative with this kind of stuff. Now, it was with a tiny amount of money, and it did not work out well at all. And I'm like, hey, I cannot do this. It doesn't work for me. It works for some people. I don't think most retail should do it, but most will try. And if you're trying it with a small amount of money, a couple $100, a couple $1,000, whatever is small to you, and you lose that, then you figure out, okay, that's not for me. Let me swing trade. Let me invest long term, whatever strategy it is. That's a lot better than, hey, let me wait for $25,000 and blow that account up.
Yeah.
So we'll see. But
did you see this, right? Stock market in 2026 explained.
Consolidation looks like is coming here soon. Wasn't it last year that the initial market was moving just like an image of Trump's silhouette or something?
Oh no, yeah, it was like a meme coin that somebody had started, and they were like moving the market. It was the internet, man. It's a crazy place.
Yeah. All right. Is there anything that you want to cover else in the news, or shall we move on to Q&A? There's a lot of good questions in the queue.
Did you see Meta was laying off 10% of people?
Yep.
Oh, can we talk about Claude design and how Figma dropped like a rock afterwards?
Yeah. Yeah. You swing traded Figma. You're not in Figma now, right?
I didn't. I had never traded Figma.
You did. Okay. You were just eyeing it as a potential.
Yeah, I was just looking at it.
You want to throw up that demo, or I can do that if that's easier?
Yeah, can you?
Yeah. Let me pull it up real quick.
I haven't tried the Claude design. I haven't been playing with Claude nearly as much as I was the first couple of weeks. Honestly, man, it's just like this job is taking up all of my brain space. Not making videos, not playing with Claude.
Let me pull that back and share the tab so that way they can hear it. Not that I guess the volume really matters, but okay. Minute and 22 demo. If you guys didn't see this, but we're going to talk about ramifications. Pretty awesome. I like Figma as a product quite a bit. I've eyed it, ever since it IPO'd and it fell off a cliff. I'm like, maybe at some point. For me, my take from this is like, yeah, I'm not going to touch Figma. They might be fine. It's in the too hard bucket, like to know, and there's easier opportunities elsewhere. So, what was your and then the other take that I have from this inference, like inference is there's all kinds of estimates out there what people think that the needs will actually be, and this has implications, of course, for CoreWeave, Iron, and Nebius as well. And I think even bulls are underestimating the amount of inference that's needed. And it's going to go two different directions. One is, I think things will get more efficient, but that's going to drive more demand, Javon's paradox. But also, you have the fact that there's all kinds of different use cases, and that's just one of them. And so I think that the Bernie Sanders meme is appropriate here on Friday. I am once again telling you, inference demand is greatly underestimated.
Yeah, ironic that it's Bernie Sanders too, of all people.
I had to do it.
Yeah. So first of all, that was the most unnecessary way to demonetize us for this stream, Roy, because that music added nothing to that video. We could have just played on mute. But second of all, yes, that's like, is there going to be text? I didn't watch the video. But yeah, I think Claude design is going to be really interesting. I can't wait, man. I don't know if it's going to be actually bearish for Figma or not. I mean, from chatting with other people in the space, like everybody is using Claude, but at the same time, all the design teams that I know of are also using Figma. There's no design teams that have like augmented or replaced their Figma usage, because it's a collaborative tool where they're sharing designs, sharing prototypes. However, what I'm having my product teams do right now, Roy, is, and I heard this from actually, I don't know if I can name the company, but like one of the top financial companies in the world, and their SVP was having all of their teams be prototype first on the product side. So basically, instead of writing requirements documents, all they did was they did prototypes with Claude Code. They pulled down a branch and they built a prototype. And when they went into meetings, it was just like all meetings were demo meetings. When they said, what do we want to build? It was just their prototype on their local that they were pitching the ideas, as opposed to being like requirements documents. And so now it's a model that I'm implementing with my teams as well, is we're still doing requirements, but I'm also having them build a prototype based on those requirements, where I'm like, hey guys, just feed all of the requirements into Claude and have Claude build it for you and play around with it so that we can have more prototyping. And so in a way, you're skipping the entire design phase by doing that. But we still go back to the design phase once the feature is actually validated that directionally we want to build this. We still go back into Figma and have like the actual wireframing, the high fidelity mockups, like the user journeys, all of that stuff in Figma. Now, if you could do it all in Claude, I wonder how that's going to change the workflow, right? Because if you think about the simplicity and the ease of use, Claude has trained teams, and in this example, like large companies, a company that you would absolutely know of. It's one of the largest fintechs in the world, and they have a brokerage. So that's what I'll say. They're going.
Wonder who it could be.
Oh, it's not SoFi, by the way. Sorry, it's not SoFi. They're going prototype first. They're using Claude religiously. They have access across the board, whether it's their product teams, whether it's their design teams, engineering especially, but also their support teams and their marketing teams. They're all doing this, where they're all prototyping and they're pitching their prototypes as though they were pitching like, small startups that we can build. If now they can have a design function embedded in Figma, or embedded in Claude, I can imagine that would be so much easier to do if the conversation is like, oh yeah, let's just not use Figma as much. right? Especially if like the Claude design is clean and you could iterate and edit on that, and then you can share that out. Well, it's like, okay, you've basically killed Figma at that point, right? It's just a matter of time for what that adoption wave looks like for people to use Claude design and actually share it out and be collaborative with it. So it's really interesting. It's really, really interesting. And I don't know, man. I think Figma needs some type of response. But like what we know is Claude can get into design. Figma can't get into development. So I think that's a big distinction.
Yeah. Yeah, it's something to keep an eye on for sure. You know the cost. I'll orient it whatever direction, and for double the standard cost, I'll take it down for a week. But yeah,
Whoa.
just for a week. But there are people that have called the bottom on IGV and on software in general, and it may be too early, but one of those, of course, is Michael Burry. Now, this is an account that kind of tracks his position. And he opened, of course, PayPal, Fiserv, Adobe, Autodesk, and Viva as well. And also, I believe, Salesforce recently. I may be mistaken on that one. I don't see. Oh, here it is. He's adding to Salesforce and MSCI as well. So he seems like he's seeing that. And I think that PayPal is undervalued. Fiserv is also undervalued. I wouldn't want to personally be there. Software, though, that's really interesting, especially Autodesk too. Do you think now is the time to call bottom on IGV, or where are you guessing as far as software as an index?
I have no clue. I have no clue. I don't know as an index. I think you can start cherry picking different software names based on their staying power and how deep their moat is. But I mean, I think we're living in a in a wild market, man. If you look through all of the businesses that Claude has negatively impacted over the past 3 months, you've lost hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of billions of market cap across all of these software businesses just as a result of like two companies, OpenAI and Anthropic. So I don't know where IGV is going to be. I'm not really in a rush to go look at, trying to dumpster dive.
Yeah, and like, to be fair, there's I don't think you're saying that they're dumpster quality companies. It just, at least the way that I assess most of software right now, is too hard bucket. There's easier opportunities. Like if all the software just sits right where it's at and the rest of the market continues to rally like we've seen over the last couple of weeks, that's when it would get more interesting, because then you're starting to look at opportunities. Of course, Microsoft has done quite well too since that time. But yeah, it's really tough to say whether or not this narrative will actually will have faded when Claude is launching products like this time after time, which usually has implications for software, sometimes very specific ones, of course, like Figma today. It's tough to say. He's probably, if he still has positions betting against NVIDIA and Palantir, probably not feeling too good after that.
You know what? If there's one software name I want to potentially get into, it's Wix right now.
Oh yeah, where is it today? I looked at it yesterday and it wasn't really participating in the rally.
That's 68. 68.
Oh man,
super choppy.
Oh man,
you have air money coming.
Yeah, no, that's what I'm thinking, because I'm like, what do I? So I want to get more. There's a couple things that I'm buying. This week I added a little bit to NVIDIA, I added a little bit to Palantir, and I bought a good amount of Figure. So still a little bit of Figure left to buy. And after that, I'm like, there's some potentialities, and I don't want to just like invest in something where I'm like, yeah, this will be okay. But Wix, I've done enough DD on it. I wouldn't mind it like here. I really think it may not be the bottom, but it's got to be fairly close with base 44 the way it's cooking. So I need.
And they're buying back so much shares themselves too, right? So like,
I know
that's the other thing.
And they still make money. Like it just.
And they still make money. Yeah, and they're still growing.
The only thing wrong with it is it's caught in this software narrative, and I guess it's not an American stock. So. Yeah, no, there's a lot of people that are doing similar, where they're saying, hey, this narrative has been silly the whole time. Now is the time to buy. So good call on Wix. I will probably own some on Monday. Or maybe I'll write a put. I don't know. We'll have to see what premiums are. I have not looked at the option chain at all. So maybe you know, Tevis, because you're Mr. DJ. So do you look at option chains first and then you look at the share price, or?
Well, it's if it's a company that I like want to hold, like a long-term investment, then I would just buy the shares. But if it's a company that I want to wheel, then I would look at what are the good premiums, and then as a secondary thing, being like, okay, how long do I want to hold this? Which has also backfired on me. So now I'm only wheeling with like 3 names, or 4 names max. So yeah, Wix is interesting. I could see myself definitely getting into it as well. I'm sure if and when you do get into it, I'll be really tempted to jump in as well. Maybe I'll just sell the rest of my Air, and then we can just both go in Wix instead.
Yeah, and there's a couple of questions on Wix specifically. Oh, so actually, real quick, Moxicha says Figure AI, isn't that private? Figure Technologies. It is a fintech. They leverage crypto for their lending platform, and it is a platform. There will be some interesting content over the next couple of months on Figure. I'll start doing that on YouTube. Now I have some on X as well. And then on
Are we getting
a
into
couple of
Q&A?
people
Is that
asked.
what you're saying?
Well, this is related to, yeah, I think that that's coming up probably very soon. And we also, I see some Q&A questions on hymns. We should talk about hymns probably as well in Q&A. But what's the moat of Wix? It's base 44. Now, there's some people that are like, oh, well, what's the moat of base 44? Because it seems like that these come along and they do really well for a while, and then there's the next greatest thing. Well, the reality is the more people continue to build and use and get familiar with base 44, oftentimes they're like, hey, I love it. The tool is doing everything I need. They're not looking for the next best thing or the next up and coming thing unless there's a incredible reason to actually switch. And I just am not seeing it. So,
Well, there's also the fact that you get everything out of the box. So, for example, if I go through Claude and I want to build a site, I have
yeah.
to figure out what am I going to use for my database. I have to have a repo. I have to do a deployment service. So there's all these, like I have to do like go to like a domain name provider to buy one. There's all these like different other tools that I need. And so right now I'm paying for Claude that does all of my development for me. But Claude is linked to like 5 different services that all play a role. Whereas with companies like Base 44 or Replit or any of these, it's all out of the box. And you pay a higher premium for it to be all out of the box, but you pay for convenience on that. So that is one of the areas. Now, it's nothing that like Anthropic can get into that tomorrow if they wanted to. So it's not really a moat, but it's like the on ramp for people building with AI because it holds your hand more than Claude would.
Yeah. And as Ben Lee said, Wix paid 80 million for base 44 less than a year ago. If they were wanting to sell it today, I don't know what they'd get for it, but it would be a lot more than 80 million. A lot more. It's grown tremendously. That was a really good acquisition by them. So if it wasn't for base 44, I would not be interested. But yeah, it won't be like a massive amount, and it's going to be a swing trade. I don't know that I want to hold it like super long term or anything, but like over a year, I wouldn't mind holding it. So
Yeah. Yeah, and Claude could definitely get into that, John. It's just a matter of what's on their priorities list for the next features they want to roll out. They're too busy disrupting cybersecurity and design tools and actually, changing entire like did you see the news that they were going to give access to the US government to the latest like mythos whatever it's
yeah,
called.
which
um
is really it's an interesting switch from where they were 2 months ago.
it's just like
Public enemy number one, Dario, and now it's like, oh, okay.
it's like you're going to give access to the model that everybody suspects is AGI, and it's way too powerful for common people. You're going to give that to US government. It's like the monkey with the AK meme. um we'll see. Shall we jump into Q&A?
Sounds good.
Okay, let me mark it. All right, you guys know the drill. We have 28 questions bookmarked. I'll try to stop the queue around, I don't know, 36, 37. So about 10 questions left you guys can ask. And we're going to go in order. This usually takes about an hour or so, but we'll see how long it takes today. Why is Roy's view different than Tevis's? Because he's doing vertical. It's a one-time thing.
Yeah.
Are either of you looking to get back into hymns? Why? Because it's gone up a bunch?
Well, no, the peptide stuff. So let me pull it up. Did you see the peptides news and content? There was a couple of different things.
I saw there was like increased like traffic around it. I don't know that there was actual news. Was there?
Yes. RFK Jr. Today we took a long overdue action to restore science, accountability, and so forth. Now, after nominators withdrew 12 peptides, the FDA will remove them from Category 2. We'll bring them to PCAC in the next 2 meetings, beginning in July, where independent experts will rigorously evaluate each substance on its scientific merits using full clinical. And then here's the list. And so, in essence, basically, there's been a probably gray market, I think is the way it's termed, for peptides for a while, that you can order peptides that are not designed for human consumption from these labs, that it's supposed to be for clinical, but I mean, it's kind of a wink, nudge, nudge where people are taking them. And this is actually, it's been needed for a while, just a common sense step to get some regulators and regulation involved. And then this will end up like with these, some of the names, I guess I have heard of this one. I have no idea what it does. I'm not really into peptides, but I'm sure like some peptide guides are like, oh man, KPV, whatever that is. But why HIMSS is such a beneficiary, I think. No, that's not a. Yeah, there's a lot of people that are excited about this in the field, but obviously HIMSS bought a peptides facility last year. They are well positioned as far as distribution, and as these are essentially whitelisted and then can be sold under the FDIC, and I think more and more peptides will, as long as the research indicates that they are safe for human usage. That's a good thing for people that are taking them. That way, you actually have the quality control there. Really good thing for HIMSS because they're positioned well. So, am I actually going to get back into HIMSS? Probably not. Now, for me, the thesis I don't think ever broke. It just became more murky. It's a lot less murky now with basically them working out things on the lawsuit front and with the FDA and everything. So it's still, though, like with this run up, HIMSS can go parabolic. It's done that before. They can have a short squeeze and everything, but I tend to not invest for those things, but instead for the long term. And I don't know. I think HIMSS will be okay-ish at least, but there's still better opportunities, I think, in the market. So yeah, willing to get back in if they like continue to execute really well, if it's very clear what they're doing and the price and timing is right, but not right now.
Yeah, I think for me, the thesis, works. It's just the management piece that I'm really hesitant about, right? Because management has shown in the past that they've been very foolhardy in certain areas and sometimes also not acting in the best interest of their shareholders. And I don't necessarily know that that's a management team that I would trust as a shepherd of my capital. I think the thesis is fine. I think peptides is it's huge. I think the weight loss segment is going to continue to a certain degree. Of course, they're growing international expansion with Zava and others. So that's the part that I'm fine about. It's, do I trust Andrew and team? And I mean, there's a reason that I sold. So
yeah.
Can you talk about Figure? The stock looks ready to rip. What's it at right now?
It's at 30, 36 or 38. I've been adding to it heavily. I will add to it again on Monday. They have earnings in, I think it's 4 weeks or 5 weeks, but they have preliminary numbers. It's really weird because it's right now it's more of a battleground stock than anything. And so there are very passionate, very outspoken shorts. One firm kind of doubled down as far as what they're saying with Figure for a while. I think they're flat out wrong. It's as long as lending is going to be in a healthy space, and I think it will be this year. They have built out a platform, so it's a lot of it's asset light growth that they're able to do. The shorts say, "Oh, it's inorganic," and they're doing all these like. If you look at the actual numbers and what they're actually putting out, the new products, I'm skeptical on some of it, but they've built something that I think is very differentiated, and they have basically one of the criticisms that people have of crypto is like, how do they actually generate money? In this case, they're using it for extreme efficiency gains on as far as time and as far as cost. You can look at I have a very detailed article if you go to my X account. When it was like 27, I said it was a misunderstood opportunity, and I think it's going to do very well, but it's going to be very, very volatile. It is controversial for a while, and it might be for another year or two. But I hope to at least change some of that and educate people, because there's some plays that are like just super easy to understand, very clear what they're doing and how they're doing it. There's still some things where I'm still trying to figure out this piece of it to see what they're actually doing here, if it's actually going to be a real opportunity or not. And I will say at some point, hopefully in the next month before earnings, there's going to be a very interesting interview related to these guys coming out. So,
Okay, well, that's exciting. Yeah, still not in Figure, but you'd be buying Figure over Wix if you had to choose one.
oh yes, definitely. Long term, this is a winner. I'm going to go up to probably about a 10% allocation. And that's usually where I top out what I'm allowed to do outside of the swing bucket, unless I see it as a generational company. I'm not sure with Figure. Like, I think it's a very good company. Cagney is a founder of both SoFi and this company as well. Tannenbaum's a CEO, great CEO, really, really good product. Are there others that could eventually move in that space? Yes, but I think that they are so far ahead of anybody else. And they're more than just a HELOC company. Like, that's the thing that shorts miss is that's where they started. But even right now with democratized prime, like, there's substantially more than that. They, like SoFi, also benefit from the Clarity Act, whatever form that comes out. But if they end up prohibiting yield, which I hope that they don't, their stablecoin is backed by the yields gained off of real world assets. It's basically loans that are on chain. So they are really, really innovative, and they are such a small market cap. They're growing at like 100% year over year. I think they're really exciting. So executing well too.
It's exciting.
So yeah, I'm not waiting like for a pullback to $30 before I add. I'm like, it's fine under 40. It's fine under 45, frankly, for me, for topping off my positions. So.
What happened to my orbs? Sam Heltman didn't punk my bags today. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Don't really follow orbs that much. But did some OpenAI news come out and orbs didn't pump? Is that what you're talking about? I'm not sure.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Why don't you just sell a limit order for where you bought the 100 Meta shares? That way, if it goes below, you can sell them and you're not in danger.
Yeah, stop loss.
Why would I do that? That is too rational of a plan, and I don't like it. I don't know. I think Meta's going to do well in earnings. We'll see. I was thinking about writing some covered calls on Meta today, Roy, at like 780, 790 or something like that for the next month. And that sounds crazy because it's like $100 away, but it's what, like 12%, something like that. It's not that crazy, man. If you look at earnings, this thing can definitely, climb higher. Now, there is also that lawsuit that we sort of forgot about. But at the same time, I think there's a lot to like about Meta here, and yeah, I'm fine to hold it. And if they go down, then they go down. But yeah, calls for Meta are super expensive, which is why I'm selling them or thinking of selling them. But pretty happy with even if I were to sell those 100 shares of Meta today, I'd still be fine because I bought them at 59K and I'm selling them at 69K and just pocketing 10K for what, 2 weeks. Okay, like I'm not super sad about that. But I think we can go higher. I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah, the other thing I'll add too, like for a lot of people, 100 Meta shares would be like that's your portfolio. For Tevis, it's a small
Stop. It's not. It's not.
part. Like 1%. No, just kidding. Yeah, honestly, like if you guys are on margin, use margin. Like have an exit plan. Don't be like Mr. Degen here. So,
I mean, I don't know.
But you like, to be fair to you, and just so people understand, like you're adding money to the market on a regular basis with your income. It's not something that is like this is all the money that you have, and you can add like $50 here or there. So that's one of the things. Like people that have a good stream of income that are contributing to the market, oftentimes feel comfortable saying, you know what, there's an opportunity here. Let me go in margin and take that opportunity, and then worst case scenario, money comes in over the next few months, you're good. I did that with Air Test Systems. I had a chunk of money coming in. It's the only time I've actually used margin for a buy like that. And I'm like, okay, it's $21 a share. This is stupid. Let me buy up to the full allocation at 10%. And yeah, that worked out really well. Got out of margin fairly quickly, but I knew I had money coming in. It was guaranteed, like it was on its way. And I just didn't want to wait and risk it.
I mean, we did it live, man, right? Like I was already like 12, 13K in margin when I bought the 100 shares of Meta, after hours. So it's fine. Like I'm not super fussed about it. Okay, let's move on. How do you guys think this war and high oil prices affect the consumer and inflation numbers down the road?
Yeah. The one of the problems with energy and oil, especially the gas pump prices, is that they come down slower than they go up. Not quite as much on the futures market, commodity markets, but so inflation will be somewhat elevated probably for the next few months over where it has been. But I still think that we can attach that that transitory word on there. So it may delay one of the two rate cuts this year. I think that we probably get a rate cut though. I'd be surprised if we didn't.
Yeah, it really also depends on how prolonged this conflict is, and largely if it's not, all that prolonged, if it doesn't drag out, then it won't have a big impact. It'll be just a shock to the system, but it won't be a fundamental change that will require, rates to change or inflation to change over the long tail, right? And like, what has it been? It's been a month. So it's not like Ukraine, Russia, for example, like that would definitely affect the markets way more, or the economy, I should say, way more, versus something like this. It's not. It hasn't been around long enough to actually do some systemic damage, in my opinion. I could be wrong on that, but
yeah, the one thing that I'll add too is oil, of course, is coming down. A lot of these commodities are coming down, but there are still a lot that, even though Hormuz is fully opened right now, that are not yet able to start shipping out their commodities. Some of these, they take a while to get going. So the most prominent is in Qatar, the Ras Laffan field. Previously, before the damage, they estimated it would take about a month to get back to full capacity. And it's not just natural gas. It is 25% of the world's natural gas. That has been damaged, by the way. So some of that, about 15% of their production, is going to take up to 5 years for them to actually repair, sadly. But 30% of the world's helium comes from that. A lot of what's needed as far as fertilizer also comes from this as well. So yeah, it's not going to be like, hey, we have a peace agreement, great. All the prices go back to where they were before. It takes time, but I think by the end of the year, we'll see this is just transitory. So yeah.
Do you think we're going to go back to normal soon? Yeah, I mean, we'll see this week what happens, but it's definitely a possibility, a high possibility, probability.
I think so.
All right. What's your opinion on the SaaS apocalypse? Buy or stay clear until we can see who the software AI. I think we answered this in our segment around SaaS, around 41 minutes into the stream.
Yeah.
Amazon at 250 maybe can reach 270 for earnings. Yeah, it was at 258 earlier today before giving up a lot of those gains. 270 for earnings. Oh, but like at that point, I would probably be looking to close those leaps at like 50% profit or more. Granted, they're 2028 leaps, so I have a lot of time on those, but I think the max is 280. Like the max upside is 280 for those. So I think like what is 270? It's like 10% away.
Yeah.
Yeah, we can definitely hit that. It's less than 10% away. And the way that Amazon's been moving, it's like how like what has Amazon added this week alone? Right?
I would.
Amazon's been up 6% this week.
I think the wild card is if they announce that they're raising capital expenditures, then they're probably going to do another raise, an issuance, and as a result, that stock price will dip. So I think between that and then Jeff Bezos likely selling like he loves to do, and he deserves to. He built this company, you know. I would probably say probably not. Maybe it'll touch it and then sell off in the next week afterwards. But I mean, if I owned Amazon, I wouldn't look to get cute with it. I'd just hold it.
Yeah, that's also true. And I also think that if Jassy is talking a lot about the chips side, then that could also give them a nice little pump on earnings during that earnings call. So we'll see. I definitely think 270 is not, you know, beyond reach. It's not unfathomable. I think it's very realistic. We'll see if it happens. I'm here for it, man. Thoughts on new?
I like it. I'm going to be very interested to see if they talk more about their launch in the United States now that they've been approved. There's still a little bit more work to do for that to get off the ground running, but you know, it's very fast approval. But what are their aims, ambitions, goals? We can guess some. We've heard a few things, but nothing like really concrete. They might hold that really close to the vest too, but sometimes they give us a little bit more information in the earnings call. So yeah, long term, South America, it's one of like two really good opportunities there. I think this and Mercado Libre, but I'm just in this one.
Tech is fine. NVIDIA above 200, Nebius all-time high, CRDO big run-up. Yeah, tech is high risk. And so, well, perceived high risk, especially with AI. And as the market goes risk on, tech is going to catch a bid much more than anything else. Is Roy still hedging with short-dated SPY puts over the weekend?
Nope, that was just a last weekend thing with very low-quality hedges. Now VG is my unintentional hedge should things break out again. But that's a long-term play for me. I even closed the leaps before, was it yesterday? Yeah.
How low does Nebius stock price go?
I'll defer to you on that one. Hopefully below my covered calls.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
I rolled some out, I think 2 weeks out to 152.5, and then I have some at 140. So I would prefer not to have those go, but if they do, they do. I'll kick the can down the road at least once more, though.
I don't know, man. Maybe I'm delusional in this, but my bigger fear is not Nebius going to $100. It's Nebius going to $200.
Yes.
And I have covered calls and they're at 195 and at 200, and it's for May 15th and April 24th, like next Friday. And quite frankly, I think this breather that we saw today is totally normal. But I think we're seeing a lot of accumulation behind the scenes. We saw a huge rally over this past week. It went up like 50% in a week or something. And there's a lot more that they can still drop, guys. The news, if they start to Tevis is going to be unbearable with Nebula 200 plus. I will be. I will be. So get ready for that. But look, if they drop news that they're working with OpenAI or Anthropic or Amazon or Google, you're waking up and you're seeing $200 stock price. It's going to happen.
Do you think, since it's at an all-time high, that they're likely to maybe move forward? Because they are going to do, like, that's it's in the model.
I hope they do.
Okay.
I hope they do.
I hope they do too, because covered calls save me.
Exactly. That's the same reason why I also hope that it's for my covered calls. But yeah, I'm not too sad about it.
Yeah.
So yes, this is true. We'll see. We'll see. I'll show you guys what I end up getting if it does go to 200. But haven't got anything yet. Speaking of the reason why I haven't got anything yet, do you guys think BM&R will pull back next week?
It just depends on what's happening in the macro on Ethereum. I still think that we are in crypto winter. I don't know how long it'll be. I know we've had a bit of a rally this week, but there are multiple relief rallies even in the crypto winter. So it wouldn't surprise me either direction at this point, but I still think we have. I don't know that we've hit the bottom yet on crypto winter.
Really?
I'd love that if we did, but yeah, I don't think it's well. So specifically with Bitcoin more than Ethereum, it's not pulled back to levels that it traditionally would. Basically, there's an average there that every single crypto winter previously we've seen below that volume shelf. We haven't yet. I believe that's around 55. I'd prefer to not see Bitcoin at 55. If we do, I'll add more than just my DCA. But yeah, if we do see that has impact on Ethereum, thus on BM&R.
Yeah. Did anyone hedge? Russia is about to mess that all up. NATO. VG is my hedge. VG is Roy's hedge. Yep. That's it.
And Palantir, kind of.
Can one of you make a video showing how to value a stock in a few different ways? I'm just trying to learn more.
Maybe. I've thought about doing some of those videos that are more like evergreen content for newer investors. And it was one of several different things that I was weighing after I finished the dissertation, which I'm done. I actually got the print copies, the hard copies today. I got some for my mother-in-law, my parents, and so forth. But yeah, regardless, I decided to do something a little bit different with my time, which you guys will see in the next week or two. But yeah, like that's the thing.
This comment right
but like to be honest, there's content that I make. Like every single bit of my air content, except for like one or two videos, they perform terribly. But I like to make content that I find valuable, that I like to make, whether it's like, oh man, it's SoFi, it's going to do great. Well, I'll do that if there's credible news and I'm bringing something out that I don't think is well enough covered yet. Or, if it's like, hey, it's going to get me 500 views. Like I think my most recent air video has like 400 views. And my average is 5, 6, 7,000. So
yeah, I think
so I'm not afraid to make that kind of content. But I don't want to. I wouldn't want to necessarily do a series where I've invested like a lot of time, effort, and energy, and then you get 100 views. So
yeah, you guys have to understand the discrepancy in terms of what gets views versus where our interests are. I would love to make more videos on Meta or on Amazon or on options trade, like on all of these things. I would love to actually make content about, but I have a very finite amount of time in the week, as does Roy, because we both this is part-time for the both of us. And so as a result, we might have, I can speak for myself. I might have 6 hours this week or 8 hours this week to make content. I want to make content that maximizes that viewership so that I can grow the channel and eventually have more time to do that. And so all of these other things that I want to talk about, just I don't get to because it doesn't get views. And as a result, my entire channel is like 3 stocks. And similar for you, Roy. I think you diversify a little bit more, but it's around the same
Quite a
kind
bit.
of stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll do videos on pretty much every one of my stocks unless it's just something I'm brand new to and I just don't feel like I have good enough grasp. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, look,
We'll
say
see.
what you will, but BMNR is the highest viewership. Like the average viewership for me on BMNR is about 18 to 19,000 views per video. The average for SoFi is about 10,000. The average for Nebius is about 5,000. So
Yeah,
just something to keep in mind.
BMNR does very well for me too. But I'll usually put out a video like every other week on BMNR. In part, like it does well. In part, I want to keep my attention on it because I own it. And usually 2 weeks is enough time that there's something happening in the space that it's not just same old like every week.
Yeah.
And Tevis, his BMNR videos do great too. Like it's good content.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Michael. Very
Thank you.
kind. All right, DJing question. That's what we're here for. Can you do covered calls on 2 or 3x levered ETFs? You can.
Yes.
You can.
Be careful with those. You get like double theta decay because of that. So
yeah, I've definitely written covered calls on TSLL in the past before. So firsthand, I know that you can. Would you sell covered calls if you don't have a full position built out on a cornerstone stock? Assume you don't have a big account. If you don't have, I'd still
yes,
would.
yeah, probably. And I've done it before. I'll do it again. Usually, the only times that I don't sell covered calls beyond just like not having 100 shares. So like Tesla, I don't because I don't. But outside of that, like if it's a stock that has been very compressed and is trading well under where I think fair value is, the premiums are very small. Like SoFi has been recently, Robinhood has been recently. I didn't write any covered calls until this week for a long time. And this week I'm like, okay, great. I'm going to take advantage of this move. But other than that, I'll also just be careful not to usually sell for a strike that I'm unhappy filling. In Nebius, you could say, well, Roy, what about Nebius? Well, at 140, that's the lower of my covered calls that are underwater. The others are at 152.5. That's not quite a double, but it's pretty close in like a little over a month. I'm not unhappy about that. I would prefer to keep it, but yeah. So yes, the answer is yes. But make sure it's right for you. Like the one other thing too, Matthew, is if you have a smaller account or anyone else is watching this, the lessons you learn as a small account will help you. Like as you learn what works for you when you have a much larger account. And so this is really the time to cut your teeth. Now, if you decide, it's not worth the risk, I don't want to do options, don't do options. You don't need to do covered calls just because we do. Don't do them the way this guy does either, unless you really like risk.
Yeah, exactly. What are we buying today?
Did I buy? Yeah, I bought. No, actually, I don't think I bought anything today. Yesterday, I bought a little more Nvidia. It was 2 days ago on Nvidia. I bought a little bit more Palantir, and I bought a good amount of Figure Technologies, FIGR.
I don't think I bought any stock this week. Yeah, all my trades were option trades, like selling options and closing out my. I had $20 puts for SoFi today, and they got over $20, and I was like, yes. And then I went into a meeting, and it was a 2-hour meeting, and I came out, and they were at 1950, and I was like, God damn it, I should have closed.
It's my fault. I posted a screenshot, and I mean, I figured I was doing people a favor, like saving them from covered calls, but I
Yeah,
mean,
I
people
mean,
are not grateful. So
hey man, I wrote $20 puts on SoFi when SoFi was at $17, so I ended up paying 50 cents to close those, but I collected $3.10 to sell them in the first place. So,
nice.
did SoFi get into the S&P today? It really went up. Yes, they did. Congratulations to the SoFi holders. Um,
I love that meme.
yeah, no, they actually didn't get into the S&P, but they're eligible now, where they weren't before.
Yeah.
Did Iran even say thank you? They didn't, but I will. So, Dr. Ron, question. I don't know why he's asking you this, but thoughts on Wealthsimple and X in Canada? Are we forever in a communist country?
I guess as an American, like looking from the outside in, I'm glad I'm not in Canada.
Do you know
Like
what
I think it's a
Wealthsimple did?
what's that?
Do you know what Wealthsimple did with X this week or not?
No.
Okay, so Wealthsimple is like the Canadian Robinhood. It's a brokerage here. It's like the more modern equivalent. Yeah, and they're actually really cool. They're very aspirationally, like they're the parallel of Robinhood. They have all the young people. They're the fastest to ship stuff. They're the number one innovators. And so the news came out this week that X was linking cash tags to stocks. But in Canada, what happens is if I click on a ticker, um, it can redirect me to my Wealthsimple app, and I can just trade that ticker
Well, that's
from
cool.
X. So, and then people up here, um, they were complaining on X to Wealthsimple because Wealthsimple is now associated with Elon.
Oh,
And they're like,
give me a break.
I know. And Wealthsimple was like, dude, like we're not sharing any of your data with X. It's literally a link that sends you into the app. Um, so I think that's what that last part might be in reference to. Little snowflakes up here just need protection and need isolation from the real world. Should AI companies now start selling running shoes? Yes, the reverse AI company.
Yeah, we saw back-to-back pivots to not unrelated companies to AI companies this week, and of course, both immediately popped for at least a little bit. But I mean, I seriously hope that we don't start seeing that as like a normal thing because it was still weird when companies they do this in the past. Like this isn't the first time for it. It does add a little bit of fuel, I think, for those that are calling this an AI bubble, but it's hard to argue like on these that that's not the case. But like we've seen that with crypto before. Specifically, BM&R is one of those that pivoted to a digital asset treasury. We've seen other like even MicroStrategy. It was once a very different business, is now a digital asset treasury. We've seen companies like C3 AI, which I really don't like, but they actually multiple times just changed their ticker and their entire focus of the company about whatever is the most interesting and compelling narrative there in the market. They're just they do have a real business, but it's well, and then the other one too. We've seen crypto companies, specifically Bitcoin miners, pivot into energy companies and inference. So it can be done. It can be done very successfully, but AI, like running shoes to AI, man, I don't know about that.
Yeah, that's a crazy pivot. It's a crazy pivot. Um, let's see. Wix, they will the first design. They were the first design program to. Oh, they will be the first design program to get smoked. Their basic web design, at least Figma is professionals. Yeah, if it wasn't for Base 44, neither of us would be touching Wix with a 1,000-foot pole. Base 44 is the entirety of the value that we're looking for Wix. And Base 44 is an AI play. So that's why.
Yeah, essentially, I look at it as they have a legacy business that still makes money, and that's going to be decreasing over the next few years.
Yeah.
But it's not going to immediately go to zero. And then Base 44 is growing rapidly. Eventually, that company is Base 44.
Yes. Any opinion on next? Yeah, I mean, I think they're going to do just fine over the next couple of years. $6.84 right now for next.
Yeah.
Peaked at around $9 and now on their way back down. So we'll see where they go. But yeah, they're gonna the play for next is not a 2026 play, or maybe towards the end it will start to be. Ruby says shorting quantum as of this afternoon. Any thoughts?
I'm very skeptical in quantum, but I'm just going to keep it in the too hard bucket and not do anything with it. If I was forced to pick long or short, I'd pick short, but I would rather not. I did look up Ionic. It's up like 60% over the last week and a half. So I don't short based on momentum or even just purely based on valuation. Well, I don't short, but if I did, I wouldn't do those things. So just be careful. But maybe.
What's the next error?
Well, I think air still has a long ways to go up over the next few years. I haven't done a long term, and I'll probably wait until maybe the next earnings before I do like the long term thesis, TAM, and everything. The CEO talks enough about it, but like if you're looking at a short term company that'll do a 4x in that little bit of time, I'm sure there are names out there that will. I don't know what they are. So yeah, I don't have one in mind. Like I still think SoFi is going to perform very well this year, but even from here,
I agree. Hood or SoFi for leaps for here. I've been eyeing the SoFi $30 or $40 spreads for June 2020. Yeah, I mean, as somebody who did buy a whole bunch of spreads over the past 2 weeks, I'm bullish on them. I bought $15 spreads for June 2028, and I also, or sorry, not spreads, leaps for June 2028, and I bought $18 leaps for 2028. I think spreads are also fine. $30 to $40 should be pretty cheap for you. It's obviously risky. Like you could do $20 to $30 probably for a better bet. But yeah, we'll see. That's a huge spread though. $10 spread.
I was going to say I'd probably even widen it myself if I was going to do it. But for SoFi, I just prefer pure leaps. And then sometimes writing, well, when we were up in the 30s, poor man's covered calls were very attractive. But yeah, now not so much. But if I had to pick between those two, and I'm not going to just be like, hey, 50-50, because that's probably the better answer. But I'd probably say SoFi, actually. Robinhood's been on quite a tear. But again, you've heard my view on crypto winter. I think that we still have more time. Could be wrong on that. Amazing companies, both of them. But if I had to pick, it'd be SoFi.
Yeah. And mind you that people will look at this run up from SoFi from $15 to $20, and they'll think, wow, that's a big run or whatever, but earnings is around the corner, and SoFi has never missed an earnings in their entire history as a public company. So I think there's good things on the horizon. If all the stock YouTubers in your circle got into an MMA match, who's winning?
Boy,
I don't know.
Maybe Steve. But Tanner, like, I think he'd be pretty scrappy. And he's very fit, so I just don't know if he's fought before. But and you're a big dude, and you're in decent health, so maybe you. But yeah, Steve, I think would fight dirty. So probably Steve.
Yeah,
he's in New York. He's probably fought plenty of people. So
yeah, Steve would use his like weight class advantage to win. Like Steve against Tanner, like those are two different weight classes right there. But I don't know. I have never seen Dr. Roy in person, so I can't size him up. I did see Steve. I have seen Tanner, Amit, Chris, Sam. Yeah, I don't know. Interesting question, though. I like it. Thoughts on the BMNR recovery? Yeah, we'll see if We'll see if it keeps up. It's all based on Ethereum, and Ethereum is based largely on this bill passing, and this bill passing is looking positive. More on that tomorrow. What would be the price on air to re-enter for Roy?
I might, if we have some retracement, and I think that at some point that we will, even though this is a massive order, I think there is going to be a piece of news that comes out in the next month to month and a half that is not priced in, that will excite a lot of people as well. No one guarantees what that is specifically, but the way that Gain is talking, and then the positioning of like, hey, let's go from where we're producing 1 to 2 units per month to, hey, we have production capacity for 20 units a month, to last earnings call saying we actually outsourced, got in a contract with a contracting manufacturer to double our capacity to 40 units a month. That really signals not that they're going to be topping out at 40 like anytime soon, but that they are in very serious conversations with these guys. Gain wouldn't be talking this way otherwise, especially after 2023, to the point where they need to show like, we are niche, yes, but we can meet your production needs rapidly. You're not going to be waiting like 6 months for something. That's exactly why they did it. So all that to say is, I might, if the stock price does fall and consolidate, if we're looking at like 70, 65 a share or something, write cash liquor puts for 50 next month.
Yeah. Thoughts on Grab?
I'll let you go first if you have any, and
I have zero thoughts on Grab. I don't cover them. I have never looked at their financials. I know what they are, but I don't know anything about their prospects.
Yeah, so this Q&A, I'll kind of keep it a little bit shorter, but I do want to like touch on it just a little bit. Amit, of course, has pitched it quite a bit, and he's brilliant. It's not a bad company, and they are positioned well, but I've always seen it as just a decent company and maybe a decent long-term opportunity. I don't invest in those though. I look for great companies and great opportunities. So I think that if you invest in Grab, like, and you hold on to it for 10 years, you'll be up and you'll be glad that you invested. But I think that it's not going to perform maybe even as well as a broader index. A lot of times people, this is not why Amit looks at it, but they look at the small share price and they're like, oh man, look how cheap this is. It's going to go up a lot. Look at the market cap. Look at the float size. It's tremendous. They're trying to accelerate their business both through AI, and there's a couple of things there that maybe will work out. I did watch their whole AI Investor Day 9 months ago, and I was not really that impressed. The other is through lending and microloans. And I just honestly don't know enough about Southeast Asia and the lending environment to feel confident investing in a business that's doing that pivot. It makes sense for them with what they're trying to do, but I just think better opportunities, easier place.
Mm-hmm. All right. Any chance either of you get back into Webull because of the PDT rule change? No.
No, but they also are out of that really caustic relationship as far as the firm that they partnered with to sell shares at the market. So that's a good thing too. And I hope that Webull shareholders do well, but not really. Like, especially here where Robinhood's at. Although it's been on this colossal run, I'd be more interested in adding to that. Higher quality.
Yeah, Yorkville Advisors. Spirit shutting down over the weekend. There are serious concerns. Any thoughts? I have not seen this news. Did you see this news, Roy?
No, I'm assuming he's referring to Spirit Airlines.
Yes.
Yeah, I don't know the news. I thought that they were doing moving towards bankruptcy. So I'm not really sure.
Oh.
Is Spirit Airlines shutting down? What to know if you had tickets? Well, I'm glad I don't. So, yeah,
I'm going to be traveling next week, but I don't think it's a Spirit. Hope they're not shutting down. They're just going bankrupt. I'm stuck at the airport.
Yeah, I mean, that's a tough place. If you have tickets, hope it works out for you. I have tickets booked on, I think, Delta for my graduation. So, thankfully.
I'm gonna be in NYC. Probably have lunch with Steve or something. You should come.
Yeah.
We all have lunch. End of next week.
All right, I'll see you there. Just kidding.
Do it up, man. It's like $100 for you guys to like travel between states.
A little more than that from Houston, but it's really not that bad. Yeah.
Steve is gonna pay for lunch probably, but we'll see.
Yeah, like he will not let you pay. He will not.
He
So
better not. I'm freaking traveling all the way to New York.
Yeah. He's such a nice guy too.
He's a good guy. He's a good guy. Yeah, I'm like I had to travel for work, and then I'm staying an extra night, and yeah, hopefully Steve has time for me with all his jobs that he no longer has, but we'll see.
Yeah. Should we mention? I guess we should probably mention too. Like, oftentimes we do a later show with Steve. Next week, I think that we're planning on doing that for a SoFi earnings preview. But as far as myself and Tevis can speak for himself too, like kind of like what happened with Tanner. There's no bad blood between us and Tanner. There's no bad blood between us and Steve. But I found myself where I was like, man, it's not working for myself and my family. So this is the only show that we're, or at least I'm going to be consistently doing on Friday. We'll make an exception for SoFi earnings preview.
We're not doing it tonight, are we?
No, next week. I need to get my projections out, man.
I don't know if we are doing it next week. Well, we'll see, right? Well, maybe. Well, I'm definitely not there because I'm flying at like 8 p.m. on Friday next week, but I'll be. Yeah, we'll see. We'll figure it out.
Just Starlink from the flight.
Can you imagine me on Spirit? So yeah, I think 2 shows in the same day is kind of tough, and I like this show, and the timing works out better for me as well. So if I had to choose, I'm choosing this one.
Yep.
Yeah, Ruby says this is my favorite show anyway. Do you think Tom Lee will stop diluting shares after 5% alchemy? Probably not. No.
They're going to be buying more.
Yeah, more moonshots. You'll get shanked if you do that on Spirit. If I just start live streaming. Yeah, dude, this is crazy. Like, I haven't. So, okay, granted, I've had phone calls with Tanner this week because he's panicking over his Nebius covered calls. But like, I haven't seen that little dude's face in such a while. It feels like because we don't have a show together anymore, and that's very sad to me. The fact that I need to schedule a show to hang out with my friend. And yes, it is Tanner's fault. So he calls me when he needs me.
Yeah, and like if anyone is like, by the way, missing that show or like wanting to watch a show in the time slot, I think Steve is going to continue. He'll just have different guests on. So yeah,
the audacity of Tanner calling me at all hours of the working day, like 10:30. He calls me at like 1 p.m. Just straight up calls, no text. And I'm like, dude, I showed him my schedule, and it was just like back-to-backs and 30-minute increments from 9:30 to 5:30. And it was just like, where am I going to have time for you? And he's just like, leave the meeting, call me. So when the meeting, like when one of them was done early, I call him, like, what do you need? Are you okay? And he's just like, what are we going to do about Nebius? And I'm like, dude, fuck off. Like, I have actual work. Like, what do you want? The joys of being a full-time YouTuber. Must be, yeah, Tanner does have a job. I mean, Tanner does have a job, but he was gaslighting you early stream. I don't know. Tanner doing part-time YouTube now. He does an hour a day at 1 p.m. and a video a week. He is too rich. That's crazy. Can you imagine that was your full-time job? You just do an hour a day live stream? Dude.
Yeah, he does more than that. But yeah, like if you can do it.
And he has a person working for him now. It's like
more time in the spa that way. So
It's like, oh, 1 hour a day. This is too much time for me. I need to hire somebody. Anyway, yeah. Meanwhile, I have like back-to-backs all day long. Anyways, let's continue. Thoughts on Credo technology and the Dust acquisition regarding photonics, or haven't looked into it?
I saw someone post on it. I've just to be honest, I've not looked into it. So I'm excited by photonics. You know, that's why I'm in air. Well, not why I'm in air, but one of the reasons why I'm in air. But yeah, individual photonics names. I've looked at a few. I've not looked at Credo at all.
Are you selling covered calls on Amazon at this price? Yeah, I had to roll my covered calls on Amazon. I think I'm going to lose those Amazon shares. We'll see what happens. I'm going to keep rolling them because I want to keep my Amazon, but I might end up losing the shares, quite frankly. And if I do, oops, I just deleted a comment. Damn. If I do, then I'll just write cash secured puts to try to get back in. And if I don't get back in, well, I still have my spreads, so I'm fine. Thoughts on Hood and crypto? Roy, you can take that one.
Yeah, I think we've already hit on crypto, but on Robinhood, like there's one other thing I want to share on Robinhood right here. It's kind of two things. So back on April 6th, there was an announcement with Robinhood and the Bank of New York that they are partnering and back-ending the brokerage side and the UI as well of these Trump accounts. And of course, as an American, it's really easy to sign up with these. Like you can do that within your tax filing itself. There are now 5 million total Trump accounts that are created. 1.2 million are eligible for the $1,000 seed money. Some of these other 5 million are eligible for funds because, like the Dells are, for instance, contributing. There's a lot of contribution out there as well. And there's a ticking clock that's going downward. But yeah, this is not necessarily a revenue driver that's massive on the front end for Robinhood, but they keep doing things like this that just open up new dimensions as far as TAM. They execute at an incredibly high level. I think this is a generational company. I really do. So if you're investing in it in the short term, anything can happen because it is tied to the crypto narrative right now. But there's a reason why there was a lot of buyers for it this week. It felt like zero good news was priced in, and the stock was cut in half despite crypto being like 12% of the revenue. So yeah, it's long. It's still cyclical. It's always going to have some element of that too. But man, they're such a good business and strong company.
Yeah. Are either of you worried about the Clarity Act, stablecoins, basically infrastructure for ushering in central bank digital currencies? Aren't they basically programmable money?
No, I think the stablecoin is really good for the United States. I think it's really good for companies. What's hard in if people are trying to move stable, so you can use it internally. Like Figure Technologies uses it for all kinds of different advantages across their entire ecosystem. SoFi USD, same thing that they'll use it some internally, but they can also partner with others and issue that through their tech platform. And there are partnerships, multiple of them already that exist. PayUSD, same thing for PayPal. But to move meaningfully into payments, there probably has to be something more for consumers. But this seems like more if you're asking, is it like an existential threat to our financial infrastructure? Banks seem to think so if there is yield attached, but I think that's flat out wrong because we're already in that environment. There's a gray area currently with the Genius Act the way it is that allows yield to be issued if you are not the coin issuer. There's a couple other loopholes as well. So PayPal, for instance, went through Paxos, who is the issuer, and as a result, PayPal can offer yield. So has that collapsed banks and the United States economy? No. Jamie Dimon's flat out wrong on that. So even Anthony Noto himself is in favor of just the Clarity Act passing. I think he prefers it to pass with the yield intact, even though that's not the best thing for SoFi. They're still positioned very well. So I don't have any concerns as far as a negative impact. There's just so many positive benefits. I question that it's going to be used as much as some, especially in payments right away, but it's something to keep an eye
on. We got a donation. He asked not to have a shout out, but thank you very much. Really appreciate that, the kind words and the donation.
Thank you. I just saw that, and the words mean even more, but that's very kind of you.
Zeta CEO stated he sees the company doing $10 billion in revenue in 5 years, or a 10x from today's stock price. What do you think, Ron?
I mean, they execute very well. He seems like it's a very good CEO. It seems like that they have proprietary data as well, the 1P data, if you look back at the stock take episode. So it could be the case. And then there's Anthropic, so which is part of the reason why Zeta went as low as it did, just because anything that Anthropic releases that touches any other company, that company sells off too. So I'm not sure. I would personally, if I had to pick an advertiser to invest in, it'd probably be App11. APP is the ticker. Zeta, I think, is a fine company, though. That wouldn't shock me. In which case, it's meaningfully higher than here.
Yeah, I love the ambition of Zeta CEO. I don't own Zeta. The growth rate is not that exciting for me personally. I'm not against owning Zeta. I'm not bearish on Zeta at all. I'm probably going to take another look at some point. I know Steve got in Zeta and he's now bullish on it. Yeah, if I was like super, super bullish on the space and the company had a, whatever, 30% growth rate, which is what I think they're at, something like that, then I'd probably be more interested. But I'm not even interested in the space too much, nor am I really interested in the company specific growth rates. So no thoughts beyond that. Love the ambition, though. Definitely rooting for him on the sidelines. Michael says Kraken Robotics has a massive following on X, primarily due to its partnership with being an Anduril supplier, not followed much by financial podcasters. Much. Any thoughts?
Yeah, that's one that I would have to spend more time on. I did look, and I think Michael, that you were the guy telling me a while ago to look at Kraken. I believe it's up. I was looking at it last week, actually. Robotics is just hard for me to figure. But yeah, people love Anduril. Like that's one that when they IPO, that'll be a very retail driven stock for sure. Palmer Luckey, like it's hard to not like the guy. So he reminds me of like what Americans were as far as entrepreneurs 100 years ago in all the best senses.
Yeah. Mr. Matt Money, Lambo soon, member of Ron's channel for 14 months. It's over a year that Matt Money's been subscribed. That's a lunch in Houston.
Yeah, that's right. Yep.
I got like a video on Instagram from Michelle, and it was just her and Ray and Matt Money, and they were like at a restaurant or a cigar lounge or something. They're like, hey, just saying hi. And I was just like, oh, I hate this. I wish I was there.
Yeah, I'm in Houston and I don't get invited to those. They had a big meetup like a year ago, and they're like, "Nah, let's not invite Roy." So.
Yeah, you don't need to associate with their kind. These rebels. What's your process to find new stocks?
That is a really good question, actually. Do you want to go first?
I mean, these shows really help. Like having these shows and talking about different names, like crowdsourcing the exploration phase is definitely something that's helpful. I feel as though most of the companies that I've gone into over the past couple of years, I've heard from somebody in my circle talking about, as opposed to being a company that nobody is talking about and me just like going in and doing. I've done that too. Like Figma, I don't think anybody's talking about, and there's been other companies that nobody was really talking about that I'm like, let me, I'm interested in this. Let me read up on it. But generally speaking, if there's a space that I think is going to do well, if there's a company that I'm interested in, like, Anthropic is going to IPO, and what is the first thing I do? I probably would go and look at their investor relations, listen to their latest earnings, try to form my own thesis around what are the pieces on the horizon, and then form an investment case from there. but most often I find it from my circle. And there's a ton of stuff that the chat throws up, or even my circle throws up, that I'm like, I'm not interested. Um, but it's a great tool for getting new ideas.
Yeah, exactly the same on this end too. Like I know some people find things from like stock screeners or something. I've used stock screeners and I do use them occasionally, but I've never found a stock that I really want to invest in through a screener.
Yeah,
It's usually from the community, sometimes from you guys in the comments or just people posting on X. They're talking about an opportunity. I'm like, yeah, let me look into that. And then like probably 95% of the time I'm like, it could be good. It's nice. I'm not really my thing, you know. And then there's every once in a while something where so I'll take people way back in 2023, May 2023. I had owned a ton of Palantir. I took some gains on some leaps just because that's what you do when it runs up massively. And ended up buying some SoFi. I already knew about that one and been following it for a while. And then Arnie on X, who was a very early Palantir investor, was starting to do some research and looking at getting into Robinhood in May. And I was like, Robinhood, you know, that when they IPO'd, I was like, yeah, there's no way I'd touch that stock or anything. And then I looked at where I was trading. Like he was like, hey, they're trading like near enterprise value. They have tons of cash. And I was thinking about between that and then this shift into the bull market, crypto bull market as well, and also high interest rates, the golden confluence. I'm like, it clicked. The thesis made perfect sense to me. I'm like, I'm getting into this initially just as a swing trade, which ended up becoming a long position because I really liked it. But yeah, almost every single one of my stocks is because somebody else pitched it or said something. I think Air is maybe the one that wasn't the case on that. But that was one where I saw a single post on X that just pulled something out from the earnings call on the mix shift of their revenue. I'm like, let me look into this company. What do they do? The more I looked, the more I was like, oh man. So I started investigating and then investing, then investigating. But yeah, almost always community should not be the end place for you just because somebody's really successful and smart and has called a lot of stocks. Doesn't mean to get into it, but it does oftentimes mean if you respect them, do your own due diligence, see if it makes sense for you. Yeah.
What is the probability that Bird successfully builds out a data center business?
I don't know. I don't know how to answer that question. Like that, I would say probably pretty low, but I don't know anything about the company honestly before the last week.
How are they even going to get chips, dude? Like, there must be a backlog that's around the block that's ahead of them at this point. It's not like they're established that they have the connections. It's like me going to NVIDIA and being like, hey, can I buy some racks off you guys? Like, it's not going to happen. I don't know.
And this would seem to be a much harder pivot, at least in my mind, than we're going to switch over to a digital asset treasury where what effectively are you doing? You're buying crypto. That's not that hard.
Yeah. SoFi or Hood, you like SoFi? Yes, I do like SoFi. I think SoFi is going to do very well. I think both are going to do well, but I think SoFi is going to do very well, especially at these prices. Should Anthony Noto merge Allbirds with SoFi to increase shareholder value? Yeah, hey man, we need to make an acquisition of an AI company, so there is definitely some merit to that.
Yeah, they just rebrand to SoFi AI.
Yeah. So yes, exactly. Which stock would be nice to get into now? I think we answered this question before. Are you guys going to do a play for SoFi earnings? If I do, it's probably going to be writing covered calls over earnings.
Yeah.
But that's the extent of it. I already have leaps. I already have a massive position, like 30% of my portfolio is in SoFi, and then I would do covered calls for about a quarter of that.
Yeah.
Is Air stock price increase being driven up by institutions or retail? Retail community seems MIA on Reddit and Wall Street bets.
Yeah, I mean, like, there's more of a community now on X than there was when I was starting to cover it. There's like two other guys literally that were even talking about it like at all, other than just a bunch of bots. And now there's people that are like fellow airheads, and I love it. So, but no, most of the volume is institutional. I think there's also a lot of traders when you have a momentum stock like that. It's inevitable. They've had a lot of compelling news, a lot of like this massive order that came out this week. I think institutions are loading up, absolutely.
Yeah. And keep in mind, Air is very small as well, right? It's still what
2
under
billion. It's like 2.5
wow
billion.
2.6 billion. This is crazy, Roy. I remember when Air was like 600, 700 million.
Yeah.
Yeah, still very small though. Where do we think SoFi is after earnings? We can answer the stock price one, but mind you that both Roy and myself will be making SoFi earnings videos. So questions like this, Amber, I'll probably be deferring to wait for the SoFi earnings prediction video, because I think we're both going to be making. But let's just do stock price just for the people. Where do you think, Roy?
I mean, it's a ways away, but 24.
Yeah, 23 is what my gut was saying. I don't think it's that far of a ways away. Like, we're basically at 20. Implied move is what, plus minus 12%, something like that. So we'll see. I mean, if we rally hard this week leading up into earnings, then you could be at 24 by next Friday, even before you see the earnings report, right? So, but yeah, 11. Are we going to be live on the day of SoFi earnings? Yes, we will. SoFi earnings is, remind me, Roy, it's on the 29th, right? The Wednesday?
Should be a Tuesday, is it not?
I think it's Wednesday this time around on the 29th. I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure it is.
April 29th, which is...
Yeah, Wednesday.
It is Wednesday, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah. Your Robinhood's is not that week, so yeah.
Robinhood should also be that week. It should be the 28th after market, the Tuesday.
On Tuesday?
That's what I
Usually they do Wednesday after the... What in the world? It is Tuesday. Yeah. Okay, well, I'm glad that you guys said something, because I would have had my schedule all messed up thinking SoFi was the day before than whatever it was. So, yeah, but yes, I'll be able to do the SoFi.
Robinhood is before SoFi. So you guys are going to have a Robinhood market close on Tuesday with their earnings, and then you're going to wake up early for SoFi's earnings the following day. So, yeah, it's gonna be a fun time. We'll see. But we are going to be covering SoFi earnings bright and early on Wednesday, April 29th. Any thoughts on buying ASTS here for the SpaceX IPO? Yeah, it's definitely interesting. I think Matt might get mad if I say yes to ASTS and no to Rocket Lab, but I think, what was it, Roy? Was it 2 streams or 3 streams ago where we had a whole segment on alternatives to how to play the SpaceX IPO? And I think there's definitely ways to play it.
Yeah. Yeah, I think so. I'm not interested in that personally, but I do see some others. I saw Garcia actually picked up some shares today. Maybe there are options. I'm not sure.
Roy, will solar stocks come back like Enphase? What is Enphase at? Hold on.
Yeah, no, I have it on one of my watch lists, and I look at that like once a month. Yeah, it's fallen. I thought that they were breaking out, and here we are again. Solar is extremely cyclical, and interest rates certainly have not helped. They have branched out, of course, from just primarily residential, or really only residential, to commercial as well. I've not kept up with Enphase like a ton, but you're just asking about solar stocks in general. Yes, the answer is yes. Like, Elon Musk is still very bullish on solar. One of those kind of wild cards is if data centers actually end up being in space. They can, as far as the cooling, it's difficult, but they can solve that with black body radiation. Getting it up there, of course, is bullish for space stocks, but solar is going to be used very heavily for that, and it's incredibly efficient when you don't actually have the atmosphere that you're contending with. So, but I think even without that, like power needs are so substantial that it's not just this energy source or just that energy source. Like SMRs, are all the rage right now. Solar is going to be part of that equation too. So solar will have its day in the sun, and it might even be possibly you'll see a bottom before then, or with midterm elections. Like if Democrats do take back or look like they're going to take back both the House and the Senate, they tend to have policies that are a little bit more favorable towards green energy, like solar. So yeah, at some point, I just don't know when.
Yeah. Agreed. Yeah, Enphase, I hadn't looked at it for months, and I kind of regret looking at it now.
I feel sad for investors. Like
It's
it's
brutal.
tough. Like, and that's why I invested in VG. It wasn't for like a hedge at the time. It was just LNG is like an easier thesis. It's easier to see what's going to happen in the space, and
Yeah.
so that's what I did.
I mean, you're in the wrong administration for Enphase, man. Like, you need to get through midterms, have Dems win a little bit of power, and then you can think about Enphase again.
Yeah.
Ain't like, if you're in a Republican government, you're not thinking about Enphase, you're thinking about oil, baby, drill. Any thoughts on OUST, which I don't know what that is?
And they do LiDAR. They probably do more than that too. I see their ticker every now and then. I don't know much about the company, but if LiDAR is their primary product, I'm not like it. There is going to be adoption of LiDAR, but I don't. I think that the thesis for a lot of LiDAR companies, these guys may not be in this type of LiDAR, has been autonomous vehicles, and I don't think Tesla's going to need to make that switch, and others, there will be a market for it, but it's not massive.
Yeah. Sure, baby, because Canada isn't. Yeah, look, I saw this post. Let me see if I can pull it up on my likes. Oil reserves in USA and Canada. And somebody says Alberta is going to have a hell of a college football program when they join the United States, because this right here is all Alberta. I think somebody even pinned it. Yeah, oil and gas. Look at that, man. That's so crazy how it's just in Alberta and nothing else. Where is it? Somebody. Anyways, but yeah, crazy.
Mm-hmm.
I had never seen that laid out like that, so it was really baffling to me. Like, I thought there was going to be more overlap in like Saskatchewan and other provinces, but it's just like Alberta. So, anyways, why do you keep calling him Travis, bro? You must be new here. So on Fridays we do a more laid back, off the cuff show, and it's a inside joke because one of the viewers who wasn't familiar with the show, or multiple viewers actually, called me Travis, and then they called Roy Ron. And so we're like, you know what? Fuck it. We're going to do a show called The Ron and Travis Show on Fridays. And that's why our names are different. Let's see. Any views on Fastly? God, I haven't seen Fastly since 2021.
I don't have an opinion on it. Sorry. Yeah, I've not looked at it in a couple of years.
Do you have 50K ready for leaving Canada? My brother, if it was 50K, I would have left 10 times over, but it's 5 mil. Okay. That's the problem.
It's five. Well, no. But that's Canadian. So that is like 50,000 USD.
No, it's 5 mil US.
Oh, okay.
Dude, if it was 5 mil, guys, don't you think I thought about this? Like, don't you think I think about this all the freaking time in my free time? Yeah, it's I can't afford that shit, dude. I need way more donations to be able to afford citizenship. I can't. It's not 50K, man. I wish it was. Roy Tevis, will you be at Amit's upcoming meetup? I think the Chicago one is in May. With inflation, Amit's increasing the price to $300, same price as seeing Madonna live in concert.
Yeah. So like the price, I don't think he makes anything on these. I'm like 99% sure he probably loses money. I know that there's been at least some that he has, and he's fine with that.
Yeah.
Security is a thing. Like make sure between the event and everything. So yeah, just I want to put that out there in case somebody doesn't know him. Like he is a very honorable guy, very honest guy. Like he does not even do any sponsors. I know him quite well. So, but no, I will not be going. Not paying 300. But no, just kidding. The reality is, with what I do for work, I have substantially less time off than I did with my prior position at the university. So as a result, I don't have the time. He is going to do a meetup, it sounds like, in Texas later this year, and I will be at that one. And I'm going to get this guy to come too.
Yeah, if I'm still on this continent when that meetup happens, I will definitely make the flight over. If I'm in Europe when that happens, I'm not flying across the Atlantic to come to a meetup. Sorry.
Why go to Europe when you can go to Texas? Come on, man.
Guys, I'm telling you, I have explored all options. Steve will not adopt me. I tell him, and he's just like, "Are you stupid? You're a grown ass man. What the fuck are you saying?" like Steve, please, I'm dying over here. He won't do it, man. So, yeah, I gotta go. I gotta come through like marriage or like the OnlyFans visa or something. I gotta get creative with this shit, guys. I can't. It's rough. But yeah, I don't think I'll be able to join the Chicago one. Texas, I definitely want to, and Toronto, I think, is going to happen at some point or another. I think Tanner called me the other day because of that, but I didn't pick up. But I'll call him back eventually. And yeah, meetups are a lot of fun. Security is a real thing. Maybe this time he'll need less because we're back into the green, but we never know. Congrats on air, Roy. Didn't do my homework. Haven't looked into another equipment manufacturer called AEHR. I'm fairly excited about it.
Yeah, I pulled it up real quick, and I have not heard of this one before. It looks like they're one of those niche guys that are in the automated testing equipment. I think it says it develops, produces, sells, maintains, and installs equipment. So I'm not really sure. Yeah, I don't know them at all. But if they are in the ATA space, make sure that they can scale. Like that's the biggest thing. If you're a niche guy, Air can. If these guys can as well, and they're in that space, great. If they're in some other part of the AI supply chain, like that is a very strong narrative. I see these guys are up a lot, but I don't know them personally.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, exactly. Says Tevis, my bad. I mean, the departure tax is 500,000 to leave Canada. Did you guys not know this? Yeah. So basically, they had this convention, and they're now saying they're floating the idea of charging Canadians to leave Canada $500,000.
But that's Canadian.
Yeah, exactly.
So
So
it's like $50.
yes, exactly. But yeah, man, it's like all other amazing utopian countries. They're so good that they charge you if you want to leave them.
Yeah, that's when you can tell things are going well.
Yeah, exactly. I'm pretty sure there's a lot of examples in history where that's happened before, and generally speaking, let's move on. Are you still sold out for BM&R? Wondering if you have a price target for this year. I think BM&R is going to rebound. I definitely think that. I've said that before. I'll continue to say it. It's at 23, 24 bucks right now. I could definitely see if we continue this rally, Ethereum is going to go up. I think BM&R is going to go up as well. Yeah, I'm still bullish on BM&R. Thoughts on Intel?
I mean, They put in a new all-time high this week. One that was previously set, I believe, in 2000. So obviously, we talked about this previously, and I didn't get into it at all. Of just like, okay, have they gotten to the point where they're too big to fail based on the investments from outsiders, especially the U.S. government, that we've put a lot of money in Intel recently. I have not kept up with them as a company, but over the last year, they seem to be fairly poorly run. And time again, maybe I'm wrong. Recently, I know that they have a newer CEO. I've not kept up, like I said, with Intel, but it takes a long time to change a culture that just isn't working and talent that just hasn't been there. So I'm skeptical if this is just a pump because of the investment of the U.S. government primarily, or if it's something more. Like, they also benefit from the space too, right? Or for what's happening with AI. But I wouldn't be a buyer here at all. I think it's, if you're going to pick between GPU and CPU manufacturers, semiconductor manufacturers, this would be the lowest of anything on the list. Like, I'd pick up NVIDIA and IM, AMD, Navitas, like just photonics companies, AOI. So whatever it is, give me anything except for Intel. Could be wrong, but don't chase just, if it's just a green candle that you're interested in, be careful with that. Look for quality. And maybe the CEO is absolute quality and he's awesome and doing great things. I don't know, but make that determination yourself.
Wow. Let's play this, Roy. Some breaking news here. So this gentleman here is the Speaker of the Islamic something something Republic of Iran Parliament. So he's saying the president of the US made 7 claims in 1 hour, all 7 of which were false. They did not win the war with these lies, and they will certainly not get anywhere with negotiations either. With the continuation of the blockade, the strait will not remain open. Passage through the strait will be conducted based on a designated route with authorization. Whether it is open or closed, and the regulations governing it will be determined by the field, not by social media. Media warfare and engineering public opinion are an important part of war, and the Iranian nation is not affected by these tricks. Read the real and accurate news, blah, blah, blah. Whoa, kind of crazy. But we talked about this a little bit earlier in the show, right? I feel like it's so disconnected between the press releases and what do you call it? Like the newsrooms, like when he talks, versus the actual truth posts. I feel like those are 2 different people, man, because the truth posts are just unhinged at all times, completely clickbait in many areas. And then when he talks, like, yeah, he'll ramble, he'll go off topic, he'll make these sort of like veiled threats, but it's definitely nothing close to the level where it is on the truth side of things. So, and I think the other reason why it's interesting, Roy, is because like with all these modern with all these modern wars, we're seeing how social media is weaponized and just the next evolution of like propaganda, essentially. And it's so easy for us to see that in history books across different periods, but I think people overlook it when it's happening in the period that they're living in.
Definitely.
If somebody was looking back on this event and they were writing a chapter in a history book around this event, I guarantee you some part of that chapter would be around how social media is being used to create volatility, to create FUD, to create pressure tactics from a negotiation perspective. And I think people don't. I think people are discounting a lot of those pieces. Anyways, let's see. Can you please tell us a story about the first penny stock or pump and dump that you ever bought and how it went? I think this will be fun. Okay. You can start, Roy.
Yeah, it was actually AMC. So I think it was technically under $5 at some of the buys that I had. Maybe not, but it was pretty close, and so I'm just going to go with it. But yeah, January, very early January, right after the new year, 2021, and I'm like, hey, let me get into this. It was a momentum stock at that point. Ended up putting a decent amount of money actually into it, and when it squeezed, I took the forex and I just got everything out. Doesn't usually in that way, doesn't always end up that way, but that's when I got serious about my long-term positions. Palantir was a big part of that.
Yeah. For me, early on, I was investing in a whole bunch of biotechs, and, and with biotechs, I found some names where I I bought them in like 30 cents, 40 cents range, and I sold them at like 50 cents or 60 cents because I was just an idiot and I didn't know what I held. And lo and behold, a couple months later, they were trading for like 25 bucks because they got like approval, they moved to clinical trials, whatever. And I think that was, one of the early indications where I was like, oh, wait a minute, these are actual companies and I should look at their actual earnings. And I learned everything the hard way, by the way. I learned everything the hard way. And then I moved from biotechs to like shitty Chinese ADRs, which also had their own news. This is back in like 2017. And those were like very much influenced by some politics. Like, oh, this company is the Chinese Google, and this company is the Chinese blah 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 Facebook, and this company is just like great, but they're also a couple of dollars. So yeah, if I were to look at the companies that I bought back in 2017, 90% of them would have gone to zero, but the 10% that wouldn't have gone to zero would be up like 300, 400x. And I never held nearly long enough to see any of that through because I was just buying, getting a 10% or 20% gain, selling, and then buying the next one. And yeah, exactly. You paid your tuition. That is exactly accurate. Let's see. Next question. Either of you see the screaming buy that the trade desk is right now? Meta November 2022 playbook. Let's take a look. TTD.
Yeah, if you throw this, I got this chart ready.
$22 for the trade desk. What is going on?
And well, if any of you guys are using Fiscal AI, let me throw this. This is, I don't know if it'll copy over. They got a handy share link thing now where, like, if you're using it, it pulls this up immediately. This is on the charting side. And since Tevis never minds me doing this, there is a link in my description if you want to use it. Try it out. 2-week free trial. Saves you, I think, 15% if you end up being a subscriber. But yeah, let's look at the metrics real quick. I think forward metrics is actually really interesting here, and I didn't realize this with the trade desk. Because if you look at where they're at right now, we're going to have to zoom in a little bit. The thing that was with the Meta was, of course, back in 2022, they fell to single digit. This is forward. We're going to look at regular PE in just a moment, but it's a little bit harder because these guys lost profitability, so it skews this chart. But their forward PE never really got as low, if these estimates are correct, as the trade desk. That's interesting. Now, the trade desk is not growing rapidly, but I like Jeff Green. I think he is a great CEO. Let me zoom this in. We need to go up to January 2023. Yeah, that'll be fine. Okay, so you can see, this is where the PE is right now, which is not super cheap for the trade desk, especially that they're growing in the teens as far as revenue. But I'm going to have to look into this a little bit. Maybe there's some reasons why, but that is a really low forward price to earnings for a business that I think is quite high quality. It is in the advertising space like Zeta. Maybe their lunch is being eaten. Let me pull up quarterly too.
I mean, they're trading at levels where they were back in 2019. Just saying.
Yeah, and like Jeff Green bought a ton of the trade desk,
but at the same time, he also sold.
What's right there?
He sold a ton at the top, didn't he?
Yeah, like he timed it like perfectly. It's almost like CEOs know their business inside out.
Yeah.
But yeah, so just from a valuation standpoint alone, and I like Jeff Green a lot. It's pretty interesting, and I'm gonna write that down as something to look into a little bit more. The harder thing is it's probably going to end up being in the too hard pile for me, just because trying to figure out what's happening in that space and like, okay, Zeta Buy or App 11 or the Trade Desk, and
Read,
or is Anthropic disrupting them? I don't know.
read this comment. Midterm ad revenue expected to be 20% more than record. Major second half revenue tailwinds. Yeah, but like, don't you think that's priced in at this point? I guess not, because it's trading at like crazy low levels, but interesting. Any thoughts around the midterm being a potential tailwind there, Roy?
I mean, look, we're not seeing it with other advertisers right now. So usually it is, and political ads, are a huge amount of spin, so there's cyclicality in that. So we're gonna have to see.
Shayna says it's a screaming buy, so I guess we have to look at it. I would actually let me open up their
I
TT.
mean, the valuation, the forward price to earnings. Let me do some looking at this side too, because I like Jeff Green a lot. So it is of interest, but
Oh, they just reported on end of February. So what do they report again? What, May? Something like that.
yeah, they go late usually, and quarterly. Okay, I'll share my screen.
It doesn't matter. We can take a look
Okay.
independently
Yeah,
and
yeah.
just keep it
This
moving.
is Q&A, so yeah.
Thank you, Shanis, for pointing it out. We will see. We will mark this $22.50 for Trade Desk on April 17th, and we'll see where they trade. You can remember to clip this if you want. This is your screaming buy right here at this price. So if you all lose money, it's Shanis' fault. If you all make money, it's his fault as well. But do your own due diligence, please. So thanks for the question. All right, stock pick decision, IRON or ONDS for the next 6 months.
Iron.
Yeah, I would say IRON as well.
Both are relentless dilution machines right now, but Iron it's pretty clear to see what's happening with inference. I mean, the stock can surprise us, and I don't do things over 6 months. Ondas, I don't mind. Like if this is a longer term, it'd be a harder decision. But yeah, I'd pick Iron.
Yeah, I think IRON's also bigger. Like they're almost double what Ondas is, something like that. I don't know. I haven't looked.
Ondas is a very small cap, so yeah.
All right. Duolingo. I saw Duolingo actually with some metrics recently that weren't looking very good. Maybe I can see. I think it might have been Brad that posted that. Yeah. Any thoughts from yourself there?
Yeah, the most recent earnings, it looks like this is a business that is deteriorating a bit. They did launch chess like fully, and they're starting to advertise for that. So we'll kind of it'll be interesting to see if they can actually pivot into a learning platform. I know that there are some that use chess for that, but I wouldn't get in it personally.
Yeah,
That's bad.
so Brad posted Duolingo's social media interest growth trends continue to look awful. He says a constant stream of viral content from their accounts greatly helped DAO growth over the last 2 years, daily active users. That stream has dried up. Growth sharply slowed. Doesn't look like things are improving yet. I guess you can argue they're still suffering from the AI first announcement blunder, but it's a few quarters after they said things would be back to normal now, and no signs of that happening. And for those who want to say, but they're prioritizing teaching better over subscribers, that should not have any negative impact on social traffic, and it should be an accelerant for the second US consumer usage chart that also looks very bad. So this is the consumer usage chart, and this chart is the social interest. Both are looking down and to the right. So yeah, not really looking good for Duolingo.
Yeah, I wouldn't touch it. Different opinion than a year ago.
Express Investing, thank you for the $5 New Zealand. Next penny stock, grab a couple hundred shares. And then also Sorry, wrong stream. Here's your penny stock money, Roy. Keep the $5. Thank you
Appreciate it.
from both of us. Tevis, how much money would you need to leave your job and do YouTube full time? I don't know. It's not like how much money would I need to have in the bank, because I think I can do that today if I really wanted to. It's more around like what would YouTube, like what would the prospect of doing YouTube full time earn me, uh, that relative to my actual job. And I think for that to be a real equation in my mind, I would need to be probably the size where Tanner is right now. I think that's like the point at which I could do it. I could do it right now if I wanted to, but there would be a little bit of belt tightening. You'd be struggling for a while, and it would be a hurdle. But for me, like, there's no real pressure to do YouTube full time, other than just the sheer interest to do it. So, and I enjoy like my job. I have a lot of responsibility. I get to work on cool stuff, and yeah, lead a great team, great product. So it's stressful, for sure. My job is, and doing YouTube part time is kind of exhausting sometimes. I could do it right now. It's not necessarily a dollar amount. It's like, what would YouTube bring in monthly, and at what point would it make sense where like it's good enough for me to do it. Yeah. But I think doing YouTube full time would really make it easier for me to go live somewhere else.
Oh yeah.
Like if I did YouTube full time, I would just sell all my shit here and just go live in Europe full time, which is probably the better life decision for me, honestly, at this point. It wouldn't be optimizing for money. It would be optimizing for just overall. You see these gray hairs, bro? I'm 31. You know what I'm saying? So,
well, I had my first gray hair when I was 21. So
yeah, and
you never know.
You still have fewer than me right now.
I do, yes.
So yeah, I don't know. I think I definitely over-indexed quite a lot in my career, and that's got me to where I am. But it's also got me to there's pros and cons. So yeah. Any Palantir talk? Looks like Tevis and Roy have been talking for a couple of hours now. I'm heavy into Palantir and PTIR, which I don't know what that is. The only Palantir news that I saw was this from Evan. The U.S. Federal Aviation Administration, FAA, has brought in Palantir and other companies to compete on a new AI tool for air traffic management.
Yeah, and Palantir, like this is their game to lose, and it's not just because high quality and everything. Like, so if you throw this up real quick, Tevis, this was last week, but I do want to talk about the FTA thing. It's never bearish when the president of the United States not only says you have a great product, but also tweets out the stock itself. I don't really love that, but okay. So Palantir, one of their really big initial success. They had good success with JP Morgan Chase, rather. I was thinking Jamie Dimon, and also BP. But what really helped them a lot was a partnership with Airbus that they launched Skywise, which basically, I don't know for sure what this tool is. I have not read the article yet on Bloomberg. I did get tagged in the news. I just haven't had time since then. But they know the space very well. The way that Palantir has operated in the past, and it continues to a certain extent, is as they get into the space and they work alongside these clients, they get a good understanding of what that space looks like, the needs for that space as well, and they leverage that for future clients in that same space. This, I don't know. It might be one of those things where there's several different companies that are ultimately involved in building this out. But Palantir is winning this. I mean, like I would put heavy odds on that. So very well positioned. Net dollar retention is going to just continue to soar. If you look at earnings expectations, they're very bullish. Guidance is insane, and they probably will beat that. I've added to Palantir a little bit more aggressively over the last couple of weeks. Still a pretty slow DCA, but man, amazing company. I don't think for me, it's not a bad buy. Like I'm thinking 10 years out. It's still very expensive. It can go lower at some point. But my only concern, my only two concerns with Palantir are what's happening internationally as far as like in the commercial side. That's been very lackluster, really outside of South Korea. South Korea has been actually really good. UK and also in the United States to a lesser extent, there's been some political pushback. I've seen that it kind of tapered off until maybe the last month or so, and it's ratcheting back up again. And I'm not really sure why. I think some of that was politically motivated, to be honest. But yeah. So yeah, very bullish, very excited. It's still pretty expensive.
Yes.
Jeffrey, thank you for becoming a member. Appreciate that.
Yeah, I would love to throw up Michael's comment, but I'm not going to do that. But it's something that yes, Michael, I will absolutely do that. All right, let's. Have we just been talking for 2 hours straight? Yeah, 2.5 hours to be precise, and we do that twice a week. It's kind of crazy, Roy. The fact that I've never met you like in person, and we just shoot the shit for like 5 hours a week on average.
Or am I a person? I could
Or
be
am
AI.
I?
It's true.
Who's more likely to be AI? Probably you. The amount of offside that I say is like, yeah, this is not AI. Let's see. What do we have next? What interests you about European lifestyle? Pedro Manuel Amaral lives in Portugal because he's a lucky bastard. I like the lifestyle in general, man. Like, yes, it is more expensive because like Canada might as well have pesos at this point. But people actually live to live and not just to work, and they actually feel like humans, and you can make a more genuine connection. Here it's just like it's like a freaking work colony. But yeah, and it's like the weather's great, and that really affects your morale as well. We had like 2 days of sun here, and I was like, oh, it's not that bad. And then continued to have 2 more weeks of rain and fog. What isn't interesting about the European lifestyle? Like they live on $30,000 a year and they love it. They love their life. Dude, I could live on $30,000 a year and love my life. Just live off espressos and cigarettes and be happy as a clam. Think about it.
Yeah, the work-life balance is really what appeals to a lot of people. And there's a lot you can criticize Europe for, and I think rightly so, but the work-life balance, people push back on that. And I'm like, dude, like maybe some of it's silly, like a lot of the holidays and everything, but I think a lot of it's envy. Like, if you can be set, be comfortable, and have plenty of time, personal time off to enjoy the culture, enjoy the history that's there, enjoy your family, your community. That's awesome.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And yeah, we have not met in person, but we will this year. That's going to be a goal.
This year. Yep.
Tevis and Roy, you guys are doing much better than others. Keep it up. Thank you very much. Adam says he bought Nebius at $92 and sold to cover trading losses that week. Congratulations on the gains. Where in Europe would I be interested in living? Eastern Europe, Mediterranean specifically. I think Portugal could also be nice. Yeah, Spain is parts of Spain are nice. I definitely wouldn't want to do the UK or France or Germany. I could see myself in Poland. I could see myself in Greece. I could see myself in Mediterranean countries. Italy, no. Italy, no.
I lived in Belgium for 6 weeks when I was a teenager, and it was great. It was amazing. We got to see quite a bit of Europe too, but I'm sure it's changed a lot since then. But man, if I had to pick back then, it would have been Belgium.
Yeah, Belgium is great. Belgium is honestly, it was one of those countries where I was pleasantly impressed with Belgium. Like the culture is so on point with exactly what I thought Belgium was going to be, and the luxury in all the building. It was just it was a hidden gem for sure.
The
Go to
food's really good
Glasgow.
too.
I did. I spent a month and a half in Glasgow because one of my good friends is from there. Glasgow is nice. Scotland is everything's cold about Scotland except the people. The people are fantastic, but everything else is frigid. Yeah, on a boat that could be nice. Yeah, Poland cold, dude. I'm in Canada. Like, what are you saying? Like, uh, what's wrong with Italy or France? Oh boy. I don't know. They just seem like pretty, just not my vibe. Let's put it that way. And I have family in Italy, and they love it. And whenever I go, I love it too. It's gorgeous. Just the people, man. Italians are the most smug, self-centered kind of people, and it's just like, ugh. Every time I go there, I got to deal with their big heads. Uh, yeah, Croatia is beautiful. Been to Croatia. I loved Adam James's comments. I'm just not gonna throw them up.
And
Um,
Natalia said, "Why not Russia, Moscow, and St. Petersburg?" I mean, like right now with the war, no, and the hostility between the West. But I would love to visit Russia. I really would, especially St. Petersburg. That would be really cool. So um, one day, hopefully.
I would love
There's a
to.
lot of one days, hopefully, though.
I definitely would love to. It's like I get these countries drilled into my head of where I want to go, and it was Japan. I was like top of my list. I want to go to Japan, and I did. And then it was Argentina, and I did. And now it's definitely like the Nordic countries and Russia as well. I feel like I'm definitely gonna do Denmark this summer because like once you're in Europe, it's like a 100 euro flight, um,
Yeah.
and then we'll see.
Most of my ancestry is from Denmark, so we were
Oh,
Vikings.
there you go. A few years till Roy is an empty nester. Big Beard says.
Not far. 4 years.
Which and like that could be interesting, Roy. Like you moving to Europe, dude. If you were in Europe, I would 1000% move to Europe.
Nice.
Like
Yeah,
if
my
you're
wife and I we've talked about it. We've talked about it before. I don't know. I don't think that we would do it, but I can't say never. Especially like you made the point with I wouldn't really want to do this full time necessarily, but you know, 5 years out as an empty nester, like probably would be viable at that point. So it could be that in my career that it's time to take a pause or like move over there, and I can do my career. I can do what I do overseas as well. Like it's not like there's a lack for need
and
there.
think about it this way: in 5 years, your YouTube channel will have grown, and especially with sponsorships and brand deals and all this other stuff. Like in Europe, you could live like a king.
Yes. Yeah.
Where would you
It's
go?
interesting. My wife would love it. So the problem is, I think my wife. Well, we'd visit a lot of places, and she's never been to Europe, but she really
No,
wants to go to France. So
Roy. What are you doing, man? She's never been.
I've tried, man. Like, okay, so we got 3 kids, right? 2 of them are grown adults. They're the middle one's going back to college full time in August, so he's out of the house. Older one is moving out. Yes, we've been charging him rent just so he's in preparation for that, but he's moving out this month, which is great. Love him, but like we basically gave him a deadline too. Of he's not into it yet, but yeah, he's ready. So then we just have the daughter. But the problem is I've tried to take my wife on trips, just us, quite a few times, and she's just concerned about our daughter, who's 13, and she has older brothers at home. So I'm like, okay, I might just have to wait 4 or 5 years, and then we go. But when she was younger, she was very happy leaving her with like grandparents and other people. So I probably have to wait 5 years, and then we'll go on like an epic European vacation or something. Actually, that lines up very well. Yeah. Yeah. I think a month in Europe is called for there.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like you could definitely do smaller expeditions with your daughter and just do a little family trip, the three of you, and that could be great. Because like the thing is that I'll usually come back from a trip and then I'll get into the rhythm of work and whatever and life and I'll forget about it. But then when I travel again, it starts all these thoughts in my head about like why don't I live here and why don't I travel more, and one week turns into 1 month, turns into me looking for properties down there, and like it always happens every time I go down. And so it could also be the case for your wife where she's like Europe is a concept in her brain. If she sees how it is in real life, you just what are we going to do? Oh, let's just sit here by the water, have a little espresso, a little croissant. It's fantastic. What are we going to do? Just walk around? That's life,
Oh
baby.
man.
That's life.
Oh, yeah, yeah, we're gonna have to do that. Yeah, no, and I do see people saying, yeah, that Europe is safe for kids. I mean, I've traveled to places with kids that it's not at all. But yeah, I'm sure that most places are perfectly fine. We're likely to go back to where I was born and raised up in Alaska as a family trip next. So, uh,
I'm
so
sure that
Disney is not appealing to me. I'm not that type of guy. Uh, Give me the museums, the culture. I love museums. Oh man.
yeah. Latvia, I'd love to visit Riga. Just all three of them. Just do Latvia, Lithuania, and Estonia. Um, yeah, man. So this summer, so I had this thing, Roy, where like every year I want to do at least one new country. Because it started off with like me setting this goal for myself, whereby I wanted to have at any point. I think I've told you about this before, but I wanted to have at any point in my life more countries than whatever my age is at that time. And I got there last year, and so now I'm at 34 countries, and so I want to keep up the lead essentially. So it turned into one new country per year to maintain it. And I feel as though this summer, when I'm going to be in Europe, I'm just going to do small trips, like weekend trips. Like, okay, I want to go to Bulgaria for a weekend. I want to go to Czechoslovakia or Czech Republic for a weekend. I want to go, to all these different countries because I have a nice little home base and I'm going to be there for a couple months. So why not? You know? I'm
Yeah,
actually
and
curious
it's
to see how many viewers are, from Europe that I can just be like, hey, these are the countries that I'm going to go see. Let's have a coffee kind of thing. Yeah. And yes, this is where I am from and where I will be this weekend or this summer. I'm clearly tired. Um, Maybe we wrap. Let's see. Natalia says, Roy, besides the Hermitage in St. Petersburg, you can visit the Museum of Dostoevsky and his apartment where he wrote Brothers Karamazov.
Hermitage. Yeah. Yeah, no, that would be awesome. I like Mir no, Mir Ivana is I actually never read that one. But I can't think of the title right now in Russian. But Crime and Punishment. Why can't I think of it? I'm blanking on it. But yeah.
In Russian crime,
Uh Crime and Punishment is, have you read it before?
I've read Crime and Punishment. Yeah,
I love it. That's my favorite piece of Russian literature, easily. So
yeah. I started Brothers Karamazov, but I didn't. I haven't finished it. I love The Gambler because it was like it was like a short book, and I got hooked on The Gambler. So I don't know if you know the story behind The Gambler, but
hmm.
basically Dostoevsky was a big gambler himself, and his publisher came to him. That his publisher had paid him in advance, and it had been like a year plus that he hadn't written anything. He hadn't shown any chapters or whatever, and basically, his publisher was like, "All right, you got to give us a book in a month, or we're gonna like pursue legal action to get the advance back." And he wrote the entire book, The Gambler, in like a month. And it's large, like he was a gambler himself, so that's the topic that was top of mind. Um, yeah, definitely one of the lesser known Dostoevsky works, which is pretty good.
Yeah.
You should check it out.
Yeah,
Uh,
I need to also read the Gulag Archipelago by Solzhenitsyn. I've had it on my shelf for a long time, and
mhm,
like I forgot about it. So I'm like, oh man, I get to read that soon.
mhm. Well, we learned Roy is Danish, part
Yeah,
Danish.
Largely Danish. Yeah, a lot.
Yeah, I am 100% Albanian. Um, so born, mostly raised. Um, are you in Bradford? No, I'm not in Bradford. Have I been to Thailand? And if you could live anywhere in the world from the places you have seen, what would be your top three? I've not been to Thailand yet. I definitely want to visit Thailand. Top three places that I have been that I would live in. Uh, I feel like Spain is on that list. That's the first that comes to mind. Japan. Oh man, Japan. I definitely could see myself living there. That culture is amazing. So Spain, Japan. I feel like Albania would be a cop out, so I'm going to skip that because it's born there.
You've left out United States.
That's true. That's
Would
true.
that be top three? I'm assuming that would be top.
No, it wouldn't be top. Well,
No.
it depends on the stage of life, man. I have been to Madeira, believe it or not, George. Um, yeah, it's a beautiful little place. Yeah, I don't know what the third one would be. Spain, Japan. I don't know. I'll get back. Greece was really nice. I like Greece, but I don't know if it's like to live. I mean,
Is
Albania
there
would probably be the
still
most realistic option.
is there still bad blood between Albanians and Greeks, or is that
Ah,
water under the bridge?
yeah, it's mostly about like Albanians and Serbs mostly. I mean, like it's everybody hates everybody. It's the Balkans, dude.
That's what
It's
it seems like over there. Yeah.
like Greeks hate Turks, Turks hate Greeks. It's like all this, like everybody hates everybody.
Oh, I know that one's alive and well. I was shocked, but I had some Turkish friends, and I'm like, wait, you guys still hate each other? Like, yes, but
Yeah,
the Greeks especially hate the Turks. Most well,
yeah,
I've talked briefly to one that said,
yeah. The main one is with Albanians and Serbs, which I mean makes sense on
that's
that
more
one.
recent. Yeah.
Um, but with Greeks, I'm sure like there are still, but there's a ton of Albanians living in Greece. And whenever I visit Greece, it's like I don't feel any type of animosity. So, um, and yeah, I think this is why the US would not be top three. Is like I already have gray hair. If I move to the US, it gets worse. But all
But
right,
if you move to Texas, you just put a cowboy hat on it.
if
You're
I
good.
Texas, so yeah, Texas might be in the top three. Definitely not NYC, but Texas would be nice. Yeah, London. I was in London in 2019. It was, or yeah, 2019. It was lovely. I really enjoyed my time in London. I feel like me visiting London in 2026 might be a little bit different than me visiting in 2019. Lots has changed. So London is not on my list, but glad I got to visit it, back then. Shall we wrap there, Roy?
Sounds good.
Thank you, everybody, so much for watching. This is Fiesta Friday. We will see you on Tuesday for the Bootleg Weekly. Istanbul is, in fact, amazing. Highly recommend. Have a good weekend. Try not to think about your portfolio too much, or do, because it's been a great week. And touch some grass, and we'll be back. Thank you so much. See you soon. Goodbye.